With the seventh selection of the draft, the Flyers are proud to select from St. Petersburg in the KHL, Matvei Michkov.
There you go. The Russian, there he is. Matvei Michkov, some say the second best player in this draft.
This is episode 111 of the Liberty Yell. Danny Deemer here with Chris Stumpo.
As always, how are you, buddy?
Feeling a little like shit today, but happy that Matvei Michkov is coming. I mean, that's really made my entire summer, probably my entire year.
I was going to say.
Because it ain't just the summer.
I was going to say, it's definitely, I know you haven't been feeling well today, but that's got to give you an extra little boost, no?
Oh, 100%. Like I said, that's going to boost me until next summer. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. Because it's going to be fun for the entire summer to just fantasize about it. And then when the season actually rolls around, that's going to be it. That's going to be cinema, you know?
Dude, when I was at work, and I mean, I know we had shout out Anthony DeMarco. We had the DeMarco tweet, and that was Sunday where you woke me up out of a dead sleep, by the way. I mean, not that I'm mad or anything, but dude, you don't usually call me. Me and you FaceTime each other time to time, but calling on the phone, I was either Michkov is coming or something bad happened. So I was kind of panicked, you know? But when that DeMarco tweet dropped and all that was fun for the day, but when we actually got the official news from SKA's Twitter that you had to translate, it was a forward Matvei Michkov is leaving SKA and will join the NHL Flyers. And then you had the Michkov thanking SKA and thanking Roman Rottenberg. And when that happened, I was like, holy shit. And then now you got the Flyers tweeting out the video of him getting drafted, tweeting out the video of right before Danny announced the pick. Actually seeing that and it not just being a rumor anymore. It's just crazy. And I was talking to Derek and Zach today about it. I don't think it's going to hit us until he's here and playing in a game. I mean, the fact that the idea that he's going to be at training camp, he won't be at development camp as of now. In terms of the timeline of the visa, it's going to take a couple of weeks, 1 or 2. But the fact that we know that he's going to be at, rookie camp, right before the real camp, and then obviously the big boy camp, it's really crazy, Danny. The fact that we're here, we didn't have to wait the full 3 years. We only had to wait 1, and he's actually coming, man. It's great for us. It's great for hockey, this market. Everything. We'll get into it as the podcast goes along, but just pure excitement from me right now, you know. I didn't get the draft on Friday, dude.
So my perspective of that morning was I saw an Instagram post saying, rumor Matvei Michkov will be leaving SKA and joining the Philadelphia Flyers. But it's from one of those accounts that aren't, it's nothing official, you know. It's not like Bleacher Report. It's just hockey rumors, NHL _ one of those spam accounts. And so I just thought they were just trying to engagement farm. I was like, yeah, we've seen this before. I've been seeing this all June, all May. This isn't nothing new, but it's not official, right? So I went on Twitter and I hit a quick name search and I see DeMarco.
Oh, shit.
Bascal, other Hockey News Hub. I see a whole bunch of people who I have some trust in, I definitely have trust in to be reporting this type of thing. And I was like, wait, is this actually fucking happening? And I texted you and I got no answer right away. And I was like, nah, he's gotta be aware of this right now.
What were you thinking? Were you he's definitely asleep?
Yeah. I texted you. I think it was he's here. It's happening or some shit. And I got no response. I think 5-10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, no. I'm just gonna call right now. Reminded me of the lottery, the year we won the lottery. Remember?
Yeah. That's so weird, dude. Dude, that is actually crazy. You have woken me up out of a dead sleep. The last 2 big things that happened to the Flyers in recent memory. Them moving back up to number 2 to eventually select Nolan Patrick. and then Michkov officially coming over. That's actually fucking insanely funny that the last two big things that happened to Flyers land, I've been asleep for.
Well, they're weird. Well, the draft was the lottery is one thing, but this one was a weird timing. I mean, like it was like 11 a.m. on a Sunday.
You know what the funny thing is about that? I fell asleep at like 7:00 that night, and Saturday night, actually maybe 8, and then I woke up at like 3 and couldn't go back to bed. So I hopped on NHL 24 and started playing GM mode. And then I stayed up till about 6, ordered breakfast, did the whole shebang. I was going to stay up, and then I fell asleep watching Michkov highlights shift to shift on Sochi. And then I wake up to your call, and I remember just being just completely out of a dead sleep and just being like, what's wrong, Danny? What's up, bud? I thought something happened, and you're like, dude, he's here. It's so crazy, man.
Yeah, when I finally realized it was happening, I was like, oh, shit. Because I was actually falling asleep myself. And thank God I picked up my phone and saw that. Or at least, decided to name search him. Because, like I said, normally I would have seen that post on Instagram and would have been like, okay, that's nothing new. We already knew an announcement was coming by the end of June anyway. That's been reported. So I thought that was just I'm so glad I hit that name search, though. And then I hit the GC with it.
Are you the one that sent me the DraftKings odds?
Yeah.
Do you know what they're at still?
Dude, it keeps going up. At least the payout on the line keeps going up. I think the point total is still the same. But it was originally a dead even. So it was over under at 46.5 points. And it was a dead even line at minus 110 each way. And I think the last I saw it was minus 145 for the over. So people are hammering that thing right now. And I don't blame them. I think I'm going to as well. Kind of hope that they'll would up the point by 1 so that you can get maybe a plus payout on it or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But, I mean, if he stays healthy, I don't see why that would be a crazy thing to bet, man. I mean, I think he's going to be in the run to win the Calder as well. I don't think it's crazy to say that at all.
Oh, hell, dude, he's been playing professional hockey now for the last 2 years, and he's been playing in a low-scoring league, and he's almost been a point per game in that league. So he's going to come over here where scoring's higher. Yeah, I get it gets to translate to the shorter ice, but a guy like him, I don't even think it's that big of a – if this was a project defenseman, I'd be like, yeah, I'm worried about the North American ice. But, dude, this anyone who watches this guy play knows he's going to have immediate success. I do not – and in saying that, I'm not saying, he may have, a 50, 60-point year, but that's fine. As long as he looks great and he's going to continue to get better, that's fine. Because I saw what we just talked about before the podcast, the Grant McCagg tweet. He's I don't want him to be vilified. Dude, that guy is already royalty here. I do not see him. He might get vilified by a couple dumbass radio guys, but anyone who actually knows, he's not going to be vilified if he has what he thinks is an underwhelming season.
I mean, and then throw in the fact that 80%, I mean, maybe even more than that, of KHL ice is I think it's NHL regulated or almost the same size as NHL rinks. So I think there's only a few teams in the KHL that actually use bigger ice surfaces than the NHL. So that won't even be a factor. And like you said, I mean, he's been playing against grown men since he was 16 years old. He signed that contract with SKA. So I don't think the transition to with ice in general has been, I mean, will be a problem. But I just still sitting here days after a day, right? What the official SKA was that yesterday? I mean, all these days have been jumbled up because I've been waiting for this draft to come on Friday. The SKA letter when they officially released them, that was yesterday, right?
It's either yesterday or Monday. But still, this whole flurry is all kind of one timeline to me. Because we still have yet to see the ELC come out, but we know it's coming. So it's you could say it's not official, but he's already bought out. His contract's already terminated. So it's happening.
It was already a day ago. It was when the Flyers tweeted out the Briere news update where they were like, we've been informed that he got released and shit like that. And it's only a matter of time before we do see signs ELC. Like I said to you before, Derek tweeted it out. And it looked like it was from an article on 98.5 FM. And usually I wouldn't be reading a 98.5 FM quote as like actual material in a rumor. But I mean, this is from Briere's mouth himself because it's in quotes. Pretty sure they interviewed him, but he said, it looks good. We have started talks with his representatives. In my opinion, it's a matter of hours before we come to an agreement, underlines Briere. And we said before we hit record, does that mean 3 or 4 hours, or does that mean 24 hours or 48 hours? So we'll see. I have no worries that it gets done. So it's a matter of whether it's before the draft now. Like, will it be tomorrow? Which, if I had to bet, it probably will be, or Friday. So we'll see. I mean, 2 days till the draft? So a lot of shit's gonna be happening starting tomorrow. Because I'm pretty sure tomorrow starts the 2-day buyout window where they had to wait after the finals end. So you're gonna see a lot of teams put buyout players, and I think we already saw somebody get put on waivers today. I can't remember the name right now. I'll say it later if I remember. But I mean, we saw Detroit trade Wallman to for absolutely they sent a second. It was like the ghost trade just to get out of his cap dump. So I think we're going to start seeing things pick up, which is crazy because they're in Flyers land. Everything's on fire still,
Yeah, I think I saw Derek mention that he listened to Elliot Friedman's quote yesterday with how chaotic things are around the league, and he got the sense that things are insane in Philly right now. And that's everything we wanted. We wanted chaos this summer. We wanted blockbusters on the way. And what a way to start it off right here, man. I mean, less than a full calendar year from the draft announcement. I remember watching last season, like, yeah, this is fun. The team's playing above expectation, but there was a part of me that's like, I got to wait 3 years for this. And then we would get on the podcast and talk and be like, nah, it might be 2. Like, he might come over after the second year. And we just kept slowly talking ourselves into the fact that it's not going to be the full 3 years. And to see it happen this early, I mean, ever since we got the Medvedev and Rottenberg quote, our alarm bells have gone off to, holy shit, this might actually be the summer. It's just insane. Less than a full year from that draft announcement. If you would have told me that on that night, I would have, dude, fuck last season. Like I really wouldn't. I would have just wrote last season off. I wouldn't have cared.
If you would have told any of the teams before 7, they probably would have had a different pick too. Besides Chicago and honestly, I think Chicago, Anaheim, and Columbus were setting their guy. So I think he goes 4th. If everybody knew, like, if we had a time machine, we can go back to that draft this time last year, and everybody knows that he would be here by this time this year. He 100% goes to either San Jose or Montreal. I just no way he gets past those 2 teams, because I think the 3 teams, like, we're just set on Bedard and the 2 big body centers with skill. So
Anaheim was considering it, though. You never know. It could have been if Anaheim was told that. Maybe they were. Maybe that was what talked them into Leo, or made them go with Leo. I should say. Dude, there's so many different. I think I said it a couple episodes ago. There's so many different ways this plays out, not in the Flyers' favor. Like, I mean, if he doesn't get banned from international tournaments, if he is allowed to showcase his skill, he probably just is projected to and goes to. But he was banned. There was a lot of uncertainty around him, so he falls down into that 4 to 7 range and somehow falls to 7. I'm still in disbelief. And now he's going to play with NHL players. Like, look what he did on Sochi. With all due respect to whoever's on that team, compared to what he's about to play with now, the line mates, he's definitely going to run the power play. I mean, he should absolutely be the focal point. They said that, I think Scott said, like, the stipulation of doing this was that he has to play, like, in the top 6, essentially. So we know he's going to play in the top 6.
Apparently, that was a mistranslation because, like, from Russian to English, they were talking about the NHL and the AHL. If he goes back to the AHL, then we want him back, type thing. It wasn't
I
has to
got
be on
you.
the top line.
But I still don't envision him playing bottom feeder minutes.
No, he'll probably start on the second line. I don't think he starts on the first line just because it's Tortorella and the NHL and starting a guy like that on the first. Like Bedard didn't even start on the first line, so not that Bedard is superior or anything like that. I mean, I'm not going to say it now, Danny, but I think you know what I was about to say. But we do have a lot of questions from our listeners. I do want to get to them. I want to get to the Konechny rumors. I want to talk about the Ottawa stuff. So let's do Ottawa stuff first, and then we'll get to the questions. Because I think it was like, a day before the Michkov news broke, or was it the same day? I kind of forget. All this shit has just like jumbled my head so much. But the Ottawa framework deal, did you see that a couple days ago?
Yeah, I saw a lot of different frameworks, so I didn't know which one was real and which one wasn't, to be fair. Do you have a better sense of that?
I'm talking about it was like I forget who broke it. Was it something Yost? Travis, I think, was his name.
Yeah, that's him.
Saying that they had a framework on the deal, but I don't think we ever really got details on what the framework was. Because I do remember tweeting out the framework on the trade with Ottawa is in place, but will happen closer to the draft. Flyers want to move up into the top 10. And I was originally thinking this has to be Konechny or somebody, right? Or Farabee, because Scott Laughton isn't going to make you move. Isn't going to get you into the top 10. I mean, at least I don't think he would. But recently, Friedman kind of shot it down on 32 Thoughts, saying, I don't think that is going to happen anymore. I have a screenshot right here. He said, do think they had something with Ottawa, but I'm not so sure that's going to happen anymore. There's this whole situation with Konechny. I mean, and by the way, these two are two separate things. Like he said what he said about Ottawa, then he moved on to Konechny. He said there's this whole situation with Konechny. Contract talks have gone a little slower than anybody would have liked, but do they think there's still time to work this out? And him saying, is there still time to work this out, kind of like made me raise my eyebrow a little bit because, I mean, Konechny has another year on his deal. Like, it's not like a time crunch thing that he doesn't have to extend anytime soon. That kind of seems like it's either he extends or he's out kind of thing. But maybe it was just a misinterpretation of what he said because, I mean, it is a tweet from somebody who was listening. So,
and I think them trading, what was it, the 25th overall for Ullmark?
Yeah,
I saw a tweet today that said that it's less likely to happen now, the trade for the 7th overall pick because of that, because they might not feel comfortable just offloading all their assets like that.
true.
Is Buffalo still in the mix here?
I saw Buffalo a couple hours ago that they were rumored to be Nietzsche's, but like I don't know how real those rumors were, but absolutely there was a number of teams that apparently were open to moving their first round pick this year. Utah apparently.
Yeah, I saw we reached out to Utah today.
We did. I know Buffalo was definitely looking to move. Ottawa, obviously. So there's like. Surprisingly, too, because I really do think the top 10 in this draft, the top 12, honestly, is really, really good. Kind of drops off after that, but I am a little bit surprised to see how many teams are willing to move on from their first. I mean, I think Utah might be the most surprising because, like, I mean, not that they're a new team or anything expansion-wise, but you would think a team like that would want to hold on to the 6th overall pick. But, I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, something I did talk myself into is maybe there's just feeling some pressure to have immediate success in that market. I know Konechny isn't like a McDavid or even a Michkov, but he's still a player that maybe you could put in the Utah jersey and then try to
get
sell
the fans
some
excited.
package.
You mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe
way
they're
to
just
sell
trying
tickets.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking today, but who knows?
I mean, no, that would be a really good reason as to why they would want to move the sixth overall pick. Because I mean, obviously you can land somebody sixth overall that can turn into a franchise altering player. I mean, you never know. Shit happens. I mean, look at McCarr where he went, and he's one of the best defensemen in the league. But I could see that with Utah moving that pick to bring in somebody that can get the fans excited, to get asses in seats, to sell jerseys, all that stuff. So, I guess it really isn't that surprising now that you put it like that.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but since they came from the Arizona Coyotes, who are historically like the cheapest team I've ever seen in my entire life, like they just like getting to the floor. Maybe now that they're in Utah, do they have new ownership? I'm not okay. Since they have new ownership, there's probably fresh money in there. Maybe they're not as willing to be that retirement home of the league franchise that they once were, and maybe they are. Like basically, what I'm saying is they have the bankroll, they have the money available to go out and get a $9 million 30-goal scorer or something like of that sort, like a Konechny.
Hey, at the end of the day, I hope and I want Utah to succeed. It's only for the betterment of the NHL if they do well. And I mean, they haven't picked their name yet, their logo or anything like that, but I do like their colors. I can't lie. I don't know if you've seen their colors, like the light blue scheme.
Yeah, the logo's a little weird.
Like
it just says Utah. It looks like an EASHL jersey, but
I know.
But I'm rooting for that market.
Fucking name.
It sounds like a good market, though. I mean, if anyone's ever watched any Utah Jazz games, like they get ruckus in there, man. Like I could see them building into a successful market.
But to go over everything right now is you have the Konechny re-signing rumors. Contract talks are kind of stalling from Friedman. You have obviously the Michkov news, which is the biggest thing in the last decade plus, and we'll talk about that entire episode. But there's not like concrete rumors right now. We're all just kind of throwing our hands up in the air and wondering what's happening. Like you have the little tidbits with the teams willing to move their first round picks, and you had the Ottawa framework deal. I mean, we're kind of just like nabbing at anything that comes our way, you know? So, you want to move on to questions or anything else you want to say about the Konechny stuff? I mean, you had the rumors about Nietzsche's, stuff like that.
Yeah, right after this, we can get into some questions. But I just think, I remember the couple pods we had going into the summer, we just stressed how big of a summer it was. And yeah, Danny B did all the right things last summer in his first summer as the Flyers GM. But we knew that he really had to prove something here. And we didn't want to see complacency. We wanted to see a willingness to go out and attack things in a creative way. And so far, that's what we've seen. Like the rumors that you see circulating every day, they want to move up. They're uncertain about Konechny. It's day by day. Like some days it looks good. Some days he's going to Ottawa. It's kind of everything that we asked for. And no, I know the dust is yet to settle and we've yet to see what the end result of all this is. But this is what we asked for. And I'm happy with it.
Aggressiveness, right? And I feel like that's what we have at least heard. I mean, what's your opinion on? I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that don't really give Briere the credit here. I mean, he didn't really do anything with the whole Michkov situation in terms of like prying him out. Like he didn't pry him out of Russia. It wasn't his. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about that? Because I agree with both sides. Like, yeah, he didn't technically do anything, but sometimes the best thing is doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the best thing is just shutting the fuck up. And that's exactly what he did. And I feel like he did it perfectly. he shut the fuck up without actually shutting the fuck up because you have to answer and take on questions about him since you drafted him. So like walking that thin line, I think he did beautifully. I mean, I'm not saying it's fucking brain surgery, but I think he did a really good job walking that line, that Michkov line for the last year. And he did it like last Thursday, a couple of days before the news came out, like smiling at his last media press conference or whatever you want, a media availability when asked about Michkov, his little smirk that they tweeted out like a couple of days ago. So it's pretty funny seeing that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you have to give him the credit for this. I mean, he's the guy who drafted him after all. He plays it like a politician the last year. The only one who had a slip up was Hilferty. And I wouldn't even say this is a slip up, but he had that one interview where he was like, Danny and Keith will get him here when they know that they can get him here. And that was the only time we heard a quote out of the front office that was, it'll be 3 years. He has a contract. It's going to be 3 years. And that just kind of gave me a little bit of insight into the fact that he was playing this like a politician. Like I said, he was waiting he had to shut up. Legally, he could not puff his chest out. He could not entice or tamper. He had to play it cool. And he and the entire front office played it cool until this moment was available. And then they jumped on it like sharks as soon as it was. Got to give him some credit for that. I mean, if nothing else, Danny is creative, man. The way he maneuvered the draft floor last year, tried trading up, wasn't available, knew the guy would fall to 7, takes the guy he wants anyway. The failed Sanheim trade, the Provorov trade. Like there's so many different examples of his creativity so far. And just from the rumors we're seeing now, because we said going into this draft that, 12 is a good spot to be. But there's easily a scenario where maybe the guys that we want to fall at 12 can be taken above us. And then just days after we mention that, we see rumors, they're trying to get another pick. And it's like, okay, this guy's mind is absolutely in the right place.
Yeah. And like, I think I said it 20 minutes ago. I think it's just the aggressiveness for us. Like, obviously, we're not going to see 5 trades this offseason or in the draft like you usually, like you're playing GM mode on Xbox. But just the fact that you're seeing the names, like you said, seeing Briere and the Flyers name pop up and, hey, they like this guy, or, hey, they want to move up here, or they like Berkeley Catton, they want 7 pick. But everything that I've heard so far it's been positive. And like you said, the aggressiveness is number one. And I don't know per se if Michkov changes what they're going to do, because I don't think him coming early, 2 years early, changes their plans in terms of like, we're going to go throw big money at UFAs this summer or next summer. I still think they're going to stick to the plan, try to accumulate assets, try to offload bad contracts, but at the same time, be aggressive. At the same time, maybe jump on a younger 21, 22-year-old center that maybe needs a change of scenery this season or next. You know what I mean? Like, trades, I think they're going to be extremely aggressive in, and I think that's the only way that you could do what needs to be done to this team without a top draft pick that isn't coming. Like Derek said this morning when we were talking about it, like, they have to build a team of, I mean, they need skill. I mean, Matvei is obviously an insanely good start, but you need more than that. And you're not getting that insanely high skill with a top 10 selection. It's not happening next year. I don't see this team finishing bottom 10 with Michkov on there. So you got to get aggressive. You got to get creative is like the number one thing. I mean, you need aggression and creativity to do what they want to do now with the spot they're in. So philosophy-wise, I don't think it changes what they want to do, but I'm interested to see how aggressive they are in terms of like putting a 1C next to Michkov this year, or whether they're like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be this year. Maybe we can put a placeholder like Frost and see how well they mesh together with together on a line. So I'm just interested to see if the aggressiveness continues in the draft. If you know.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen their names mentioned with Natchez, not lately, but I remember at the beginning of the Natchez saga, we saw Flyers were mentioned, and just last week we were one of the 8 teams calling about Zegers as well. So it's just good to know that these conversations are being had and they're not trying to force it. I think we've said that before as well. Like, I think it was during a fan question, actually, we answered and said, like, do you think the Flyers are going to force a trade? And we were like, no, we don't think they'll force it, but if the opportunity is there, they will jump on it. And it seems like that's what they're doing. They're throwing feelers out, just trying to get a sense of how they can incorporate someone into the timeline. I mean, they still have about a year or two before a lot of this dead money gets off the books. And I'm not sure exactly what their thinking is, but in my mind, the plan would be you get Michkov here on a 3-year ELC. And then for the next 1 to 2 years, you let him grow and get comfortable and grow into the star he is. While the dead money goes out, you try to get aggressive on putting pieces around him. And hopefully by that 3rd year, when he's still cheap on that final year, now they're probably going to re-up him the second summer after.
Yeah.
But that 3rd year when he's dead cheap, maybe that's, and the dead money's gone, maybe that's when you can take a run at finally building a really competitive team.
It's interesting because, like you said, they're going to pay him probably the summer going into his 3rd year deal and like extend him there. It's not like you can throw money at somebody that 3rd year, like that 3rd year of him being cheap on his ELC. You can't go out and like throw big money at somebody because then you're going to be paying them whatever contract you handed out and then the extension to Michkov. So it is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see like how quick they start adding guys, like how much longer they're gonna not. I'm wording it poorly, but how many years, like how they walk that line of like, okay, we need to keep in back of our minds the Michkov extension, which I mean, we're getting extremely ahead of ourselves. The kid hasn't even played an NHL game yet. We're already talking about extension, but if everything does go well, I mean, that's probably when he would receive it. So. It is interesting to see like how you deal with like the money and how it works 3 years in advance because you got to think about paying him. We got Yorkie up, Forrester, like a lot of guys that you got to have to pay, which all kind of comes back to the Konechny thing, right? Like, do you want Konechny? I mean, we all know the cap's going up. Like, you don't have to remind us with that. We know, but do you want to pay a guy like Konechny who would not probably be your second right wing that much money when you have to go pay Michkov too? So it's interesting, man. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, we don't really have any concrete things to go off right now. It's just kind of speculation from us and little tidbits that we've seen on Twitter. But I really just want everything to start. You know, I mean, I need to start seeing like teams making moves and Briere, like hearing more rumors because it's gone silent. I feel like over the past like 24 hours.
You're right. I mean, it is interesting to see how they're going to approach this plan and try to the moment they decide to fully accelerate this, because you do have to keep all of those things in mind. Like one day, if you pay Konechny that amount of money, in a couple of years, you're going to have to pay Michkov a big sum of money. And are you that comfortable having that much money tied into wingers? I mean, it's eventually you're going to have to nut up and make a move. Mm-hmm. And you can't just bank on the fact that hopefully someone's going to take a 1-year like prove it deal in that 3rd year to play alongside Michkov. It'd be sweet, and who knows if that ends up happening. But it's very interesting to see how they attack this because they definitely need to keep 3 years from now in mind. I mean, that's when we're probably going to try to be competitive. So
next year in 2025, 2026, you have Noah Cates RFA, Frosty's an RFA, Forrester's an RFA, and then York the year after that. So it would be Michkov's first year would be this year. Second year would be 2025, 2026. So he would get extended going into 2026, 2027. And right now, the Flyers have Sean Couturier on contract, Owen Tippett on his contract, Joel Farabee on his for forwards. That's it. They have Joel, Tippett, and Sean on contract still in 2026, 2027. Defensemen, they have 2, and it's Sanheim's contract and Nick Seeler. So they're going to have cap space in 2026, 2027. They only have 4 dudes from defensemen. No, I'm sorry, 5 guys from defensemen and forwards under contract right now, and that's Couturier, Tippett, Farabee, Sanheim, and Seeler. So, kind of backtracking what I just said in terms of like you have to really position yourself because I mean they're not going to have a lot of money tied up in guys. So It's
Well, I guess they have
man.
they have a lot of decisions to make. I guess
Decisions to make, yeah.
yeah.
Because you got like obviously Atkinson. I think he's gone personally. Whether that's buyout or some way they find a trade. Farabee, I mean, he's been in rumors over the last couple bit. I think Lawton's gone. Paling's on a decent contract, but like you said, like Sanheim, is he still here in 2-3 years? They're going to extend York. Drysdale's an RFA in 2026, so he'll get a deal around that time too. So yeah, there's like a lot of things that you got to put in account. Obviously, it's not easy being a GM.
Yeah, and Michkov is definitely going to get a lot of guys, maybe some career years coming up here too.
Yeah,
so.
That's something. Before we go into questions, I know we've been saying that all episode, but who would you want to see next to Michkov at the start? I think my guy's Frost, and that's not just because we're Frost guys, but I do think that Michkov could possibly unlock something with Frost. Like, I don't think Frost, but I know Frost has never played with a guy like Michkov. I really do think those two. At least I want to see it for at least a handful of games.
Yeah, I would like that to start, and then maybe because Torres, he's probably not going to throw him on the first line right away. So I would like to see that, and then if Couturier can get back to himself, and he is that guy again, I would like to see that further down the year. But I agree with you. I think because the organization always talks about, or they always harp on Frost and his consistent production and his confidence and stuff. What better way to give him that adrenaline shot than to put him with this guy?
Yeah, right. I like the Couturier one though, and I've liked it for a little bit, like the Forster Couturier Michkov. If Couturier could pick it up a little bit, look like first half Couturier from last year, that would be giving Michkov that two-way presence early in his career. I know he can't really cheat for offense like he did in the KHL, and he'll definitely be a work in progress with that. But giving him a solid two-way guy to start off his career would be really good. And I know Frost would be a nice little offensive dynamo to put with him. And he's no slouch defensively. Frost is playable defensively now. He's not amazing at it, but he's passable. So those are my two guys. Couturier. I know we don't have a lot of options, so it's not like we're galaxy braining this answer, but Couturier, if he could kind of wake up a little bit and pick back up his first half performances, that would be a really, really nice pair for Michkov, I think, to start out his NHL career.
You got any more questions?
No, we're going to start with the questions. The first one's going to be from Bleed. Now that it's happening, do we see a few more trades happening to ship some players out? Let's answer them one by one. I'm not going to say all of them, so let's just answer that. Because Bleed, dude. Paragraph. Shout out, Bleed.
I love it.
I do, Bleed. I think Lawton's gone. I don't think Lawton's going to play another game for the Flyers. I think one of Konechny or Farabee are gone. I don't think too much more. Maybe little trades, but in terms of impact players, that's going to get us sitting on the edge of our seat. I think those are the three guys. Maybe all three. I think there's a 2% possibility that it's all three. But in terms of Lawton and then one of Farabee or Konechny, I think that's very plausible. I think we might see that. So I don't know if you have a different answer from that. Do you have any guys you think might go?
Yeah, I think the obvious one's Konechny. I think Farabee would have to, in order for them to offload both of those guys, I think they would have to find the perfect moves. But that could happen too. Who knows? I mean, we asked for chaos, and I don't really think
that would be chaos.
I don't even think it's really that crazy either. If they're fair hockey trades, I think we're just so used to the last 10 years of the team doing nothing and getting complacent that something like we see other teams do this all the time. I mean, sometimes you got to give to get,
For sure. And I think that's the kind of trade that you would see with Konechny too. It would be a hockey type trade with maybe a first round pick thrown in there. But we'll see. Realistically, how many points do you think he gets, and why is it 69? I definitely like if he stays healthy, first and foremost, if he stays healthy, I 60 points is definitely possible in my opinion. I think you can even go up to 70. Like I like this kid is really fucking good, man. Like we're not just talking about fucking Sault Ste. Marie. I don't even know how to say his fucking junior's team name, but we're not talking about Junior Frost or anything like that. Like this is fucking Matvei Michkov, dude. So, I think 70 points is definitely possible if he stays healthy. I mean, I kind of compare it to Bedard's rookie year, which he missed 18 games with that broken jaw. How many games was it? So I think he had 61 points in the 68 games, I want to say. I'm checking right now. Yeah. He had 22 goals, 39 assists, 61 points in 68 games. If Michkov stays healthy, I think he could put up more than 61. I mean, 61 68 games is pretty fucking good. So I think around there, I think that's pretty fair. He's going to be playing on a better team with better line mates, and he's just as good in my opinion. So I don't think that's fucking nuts to say. Slam it. Slam the money on 60 plus.
Yep, and I could even see him going more if everything goes right. 100%.
I mean, dude, could you fucking imagine us going from fucking hyping Morgan Frost up to fucking actually watching a possible 100-point score? It's just shout out to Frost though. He's still my guy. I'm throwing strays at him right now, but it's true though. Like we and you talked about it. I mean, we weren't really around for the whole Lindros thing because we were like babies, but we know who he is. Obviously, we know the impact that he had when that all went down, and we have not seen like you can say the Nolan Patrick stuff, and yeah, it was fun, but this doesn't even equate to that. Like, even if Michkov, like the situation with Michkov happened, and he was like Canadian, right? Like him and Patrick aren't even comparable in terms of like the player that they are, the prospect that they are. Like this is so much bigger than that, in my opinion. So I think this is easily the biggest thing since fucking obviously going to the Cup. Like, even like when we traded for Pronger, I think this is like, I mean, the hype. It's like the hype itself is bigger. I'm not calling him like the better than Pronger or anything yet, but just in terms of like excitement, I think this is the biggest thing since Lindros, right? Am I missing anything?
No, it definitely is. Like he's certainly going to be the face of the franchise for the next decade plus, and we know it before he even plays a game in the uniform. That's something we haven't seen since Eric Lindros. Like Claude Giroux was the last face of the franchise, but he was a late first round pick who was just kind of popped out of nowhere, had a breakout year. There wasn't really that expectation of him before he put on the uniform to be the face of the franchise. And the only thing, at least in my mind, maybe someone who's a little bit older than me can comment on the early 2000s, but I don't believe that there was ever a moment during the early 2000s where we were this amped up for a franchise player.
Nah. And you bring Giroux up, and like Giroux, franchise great player, but he was like a late 20th and late round pick.
He was a surprise.
Who was a surprise. Like he wasn't this like next coming of God type prospect that people were labeling. Like this is so much different than anything that me and you have ever experienced. Like our fathers have experienced it. Listeners who were older than us have experienced this before. But us, it's the first time. It's the first. And you had that Mike, what's his name? Sletsky? Whatever the fuck his name is. The one that Voracek called a weasel. And I know like half of it was clickbait, so people would click on it and get all mad. But did you see him tweet out like something about like he was like making fun of people getting hype about Michkov, and then at the end of it, he told people to chill out?
Dude, that guy's a clown. I saw him hating on Bryce Harper the other day. Like, do we really still take this guy serious? I mean,
no, it's just fun dunking on him time to time when he says stupid shit like that. Michkov is coming. Michkov is coming. Oh my God, Michkov is coming. Chill out, everyone. Like, what a tone deaf fucking tweet to make. You know? Like, the biggest thing that happened in Flyers land in the last decade fucking plus. And that's the garbage you tweet out, bro. And it pisses me the fuck off, man. I mean, that's just god-awful.
Get him out of the press room. Like, don't let him ask any questions to this kid. I do not want him asking Michkov some questions that has Michkov hating
Carchidi, bro. Get Carchidi out.
Oh my god, dude. I could just see it now. Like, Michkov, you're going 4 games without a point. You're not on the back check enough. What's going on there? Like, we don't need that, dude. Like, we really don't need that.
How do you feel about Kate Smith there, Michkov?
Oh my god.
Like, what, dude?
Like, who the fuck is that?
Real quick before we get back to Bleed's paragraph, but something that I kind of I don't know if I found it. I don't know if Kevin Kurtz found it either. I kind of added him on Twitter to see if he would say anything, and yeah, I think he did answer. But real quick, Michkov posted something in June of 2023. So this time last year, it was June 25th, 2023, and he was in New York. Do you remember when he was in New York? He was like taking pictures of himself and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
So he has one post on his Instagram, and it's him in front of the Statue of Liberty. And the comment is, the caption is New York City, ... what's next, with the emoji like thinking with his hand on his chin. And then Kevin released an article, Kevin Kurtz, that is, on Curse, for The Athletic. And he was like, yeah, I saw that on his Instagram too. And this is the quote from his blog. But then in June, Michkov's agent, Maxine Moliver, reached out to the Flyers organization. As it turned out, Michkov was spending some time downtown ahead of the draft in New York City and wanted to meet with the Flyers before the draft at the end of the month. The Flyers, of course, were receptive. They were the only team that Michkov offered to meet with before arriving in Nashville. So, like, the fact that he was throwing out little hints on his Instagram, like what's next, Voorhees was next after that post. Like, the fact that he was in talks with the Flyers at that time, we had absolutely no idea. It's still really cool to me. I don't know. I had to bring that up before we said the last question or the next question.
Even more credit you can give to Briere and the front office for the way that they've, under the radar, snuck these meetings in.
Crazy, dude. It's really crazy to kind of put the pieces back together now that he's like coming over. Bleed, does he change any of the scheme Torts or the other coaches? No, from the sole fact that last year, what was that, in October or like November, Torts was like, yeah, we play this quick transitional style offensive play to get ready for the Mad Russian, and that's where all that Mad Russian quotes came from. So the fact that he was talking about having this quick transition play style to get ready for a kid like him just tells you that like they're not changing anything in terms of what they've been doing already. So like, he's just gonna jump in and do what they've been doing. I mean, that's exactly what you want Michkov doing, flying down the wing, doing his thing with the puck. So I don't think we're gonna see anything. We're gonna see more of it, to be honest.
Yeah, since the day we drafted him, they've clearly tried to build everything around him as the center.
Where will our power play rank at the end of the year next year? I don't think he's going to single-handedly turn it fucking like top 15 or anything, but I don't think it's going to be the worst power play in NHL history again. I think that's pretty safe to say. I mean, the only way is up when you're fucking at the bottom of the fucking barrel, you know?
Yeah, true. Who knows though? They might crack like 14 or 15, but like you said, it'll be better than last year. You never know. I think last year they had a lot of just low percentage luck. I mean, you get a guy in there who's a stabilizing force. Like, dude, last year they were changing units left and right, positions on the unit, but you get a guy who's a mainstay, and then you just kind of build it around him. Maybe Forster has a higher. Remember, Forster was in a drought last year. Maybe he gets a higher shooting percentage. Like, who knows, man? You get that one stabilizing generational piece on the power play, and he might be able to make the other guys on the unit fall in line.
I mean, I guess so. Look at Giroux for a decade.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, I mean, he had Voracek towards again like this 18 and 17, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the power play started to look a little better when they put Frost in that slot position, when he was just kind of flying around, interchanging with like the wall guy, and then the slot guy. So I mean, it started to look a little better. But like you said, you never know.
And maybe Drysdale for the entire year. I mean, like, dude,
yeah,
it could be much better than last year.
I'm interested to hear your answer on this one. Who's the biggest available target to play center for Michkov?
That's tough. You know, it's tough for me to speculate. Since day one, my dream guy has always been Zegras. And we talked about it before the show, how Zegras was in that photo op with the new Ducks jersey. But we were just in conversations a week ago. One of the 8 teams mentioned. Like I said, going into the summer, it would have been Zegras or Natchez. But if none of those happen, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want them to go out and force it. So
yeah.
Maybe it's someone they get in the draft. Who knows?
That was my my question to the question was: are we talking draft wise, or are we talking trade? Because I mean, obviously, I would be excited with Zegras and Natchez, even though I don't think Zegras would be the best fit. Actually, no, I cannot take that back. I think he would be a pretty good fit. I don't know. Depends on what they see Zegras at. Do they see Zegras as a winger or a center? Because if they're gonna use those assets, I'd rather use it on a center. The Quentin Byfield train left already. Like that was maybe a possibility last offseason, but not anymore. Natchez would be cool, but I think he's the one that I'm not super, super, super high on. Not Zegras. But if we're talking draft, I want Catton or Constantinius. And me and Derek will talk more about the draft when he joins the show a little bit later. But it's interesting because we haven't really heard a lot of names in terms of like trade rumors. And I mean, I could go with it on a lot of teams and pick out players that I would want. But I mean, we would just be here all day. But Zegras would be really, really fun, man. I mean, having him and Michkov next to each other would be fucking crazy. But I don't even think it has to be this offseason either. You don't have to like Danny said, force and run and get a guy in here. Make a fucking move if it makes sense for now and in the future. But don't just make a move to make a move. Don't just go grab a young C or go grab a center because Michkov's here. You have a guy like Frost that you could put next to him, Couturier if he wakes up. And I even think they might put fucking Ryan Poehling with him for a couple games. I don't know. I personally wouldn't, but I could definitely see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. They still have time. That's the one benefit they still have. Like the expectation isn't to win the cup next year. So if they throw their feelers out and they're not reading the way that they want, they can afford to hold off and wait. Within the next 2-3 years, there will be that opportunity. Don't know if it's in a week from now. Don't know if it's a year from now. Don't know if it's mid-season, 2 years from now. But that opportunity will be there if they just stay opportunistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Ted, does Michkov coming early change your plans on TK, in your opinion? Does Michkov coming early change plans for TK, in your opinion?
Well, it gives the Flyers more leverage.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. TK was probably not TK and his agent were probably not the happiest to see that he was coming over this year. It was the worst timing for his contract talks with Philly. But not really for me. Here's my thing with Farabee and Konechny. I don't think those two were bad players. I'm not advocating to ship Joel Farabee out of here for a case of water. Like, it would have to be a trade that makes sense for the Flyers. And like you said 10 minutes ago, I think people are so accustomed to the Flyers like not trading anybody away. Or not doing anything exciting, like shaking things up a little bit. And like to the point where like if you mention a player like for Farabee get traded, people are like, why do you want him traded? He's good. Yeah, he is good, but like I want to see things shaken up. I don't want him gone for nothing. If something would have to come back, an asset of some sort, whether it's another player, a center, or a pick that gets us a center, or he's moved in a deal that moves us up into the top 10 or something like that. Like, just get creative. I don't want him gone for nothing. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of connecting, I just don't think it makes sense handing that kind of money to a guy who, I mean, he's a really good player, but he's not going to be a top line wing on your team when you're hopefully contending. It's your deepest position in the organization besides left defense. If it was like 8-ish million, I would be cool, but like 9.5, almost 10, no. Even 9, I'm a little iffy at. If they do end up signing him, okay. I'm not going to be like pounding the table mad, but like I would like to see them explore other avenues with connecting, in my opinion. So it doesn't really change plans for me, but definitely helps their leverage, like Danny said.
You mentioned all those RFAs that are going to be due up for money eventually. You had that with the fact that in every interview they mentioned that they need more skill, more centers. They've even mentioned defensemen. You don't get those things if you're cap strapped. So
yeah,
that's just the reality of it.
It is kind of, and I kind of surprised myself when I went back and looked at Cap Friendly. Shut up. I mean, fuck the Capitals, by the way. They bought Cap Friendly, and it's apparently going dark after the draft. I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah, I did.
The fact that like only 5 skaters are under contract in 2026, 2027, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because like that alone should honestly answer the questions of, ooh, does Michkov come in here change their plans? I think that alone right there, like, stay the course, let Michkov get comfortable, like Danny said, let him do his thing for the next couple of years, accumulate more assets, continue shedding bad salary, continue picking up players that maybe need a change of scenery, or like they signed Paling, who was a 24-year-old unrestricted free agent last year, or was he an RFA? I forget. But like little reclamation projects like that, keep doing that, keep taking a shot with players, and by 2026, 2027, you'll probably have 6 total contracts locked up. Then you'll have plenty of space to make crazy trades or go out and throw money at a unrestricted free agent in 3 years. Like, you never know. So, and they have a ton of draft picks, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 draft picks in the first 2 rounds in the next 2 years. That's awesome. Like, just continue doing what you're doing. You're going to have cap space in a couple of years. You got your franchise player here. Stay the course. Make smart decisions. I know it's easier said than done, but like, just stay the course. Stay calm. Keep doing what you're doing. Shed salary.
Yeah, 100%. And it seems like that is their plan.
Hopefully, it better be. Michael Johnson, has anyone bought Morgan Frost's subscription to learn Russian yet?
Jesus Christ.
I mean, he is a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing next to Frost for a little bit, man. Like, he's definitely a dude you look at, you're like, okay, you put a guy like Michkov next to him, could bump him up to a 60, 70 point player. I'm just throwing my hands out there. Ted, this is like his third question. He also asks, does Michkov coming early change your plans for TK? He asks, will Michkov announce our first rounder, and does Michkov win Rookie of the Year? I'll let Danny answer that one.
That would be fun if he did.
That'd be awesome.
The guy barely speaks English, but if he could go up there and speak a little bit of English that was pre-prompted to him, dude, I'd feed into that. Do I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year? Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I got to talk about the whole English thing, because me, Derek, and his girlfriend were doing like some detective work the other night. I have been watching him getting drafted, like the post interview, so many times over the last year, like an unhealthy amount of times. I've sat down and watched that through its entirety. And they were talking about in the group chat. I honestly kind of jumped in like towards the middle of the conversation, so I don't know exactly what they were talking about, but they were kind of like throwing like conspiracy theories out with like Michkov and his English and how they think he actually knows English, and he kind of used that during the draft to like scare teams away. And I was like, I don't know about all that. Like, you guys were having that conversation, but this is what I have been saying to Derek for months. And I've been saying to Derek, every time I watch that video when he has the two translators next to him, the one who asks him the question and then the one who relays Michkov's answer to the media, there are 5 or 6 times during that entire video where the reporter would ask Michkov the question, and you could see him you could see him like subconsciously move to answer the question or like go to answer, and then realizes that he has to let his translator ask him the question. And then even in the behind the scene things, and I know thank you isn't anything crazy in terms of English, but it does seem like he can speak it. I don't know about fluently in terms of like sentences, but I definitely feel like he understands it. Like, I definitely think he knows what's being said. And then there was one clip in that same video where Michkov answers a question and he says it in Russian to the translator, and the translator like skips over his words for like 6 seconds trying to find the words to what Michkov just said. And if you watch Michkov as the translator sitting there like trying to answer what I'm trying to translate what he said, you can see Michkov kind of like give a, come on, man, like, you didn't get that? Like, say it. Like, so I don't know. It's just, maybe that's just me looking into things a little bit too much, but I feel like I saw that a lot during that interview of him like kind of wanting to jump the gun and answer the question directly himself, but realizing that he probably shouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting theory. I might need to go back and
let me know
some
if
of
you
those
do.
videos again. But you have to think within the last year he's been trying to learn more.
Yeah,
because this has always been his end goal. He's made that clear from the start.
Oh, yeah. Has talked about that. Like, him and his dad have always had always talked about him making the NHL and stuff.
Missed a lot of time due to sickness too. So like, he probably had some free time to like. I know he's probably sick as a dog, but like he definitely has had some time during the last year to at least get the gist of what he needs to know. Hopefully.
RJ, when are we winning the cup, and why is it next season with Brink, Zegras, and Michkov as our first line? That would be a sick fucking would be a small first line, but it would be a fun one. Flyer season. Who would you want to see the Flyers play the first regular season game against? I think I already tweeted my answer, but I don't know if Danny saw it, so I'll let him answer first.
Anaheim, right?
Yeah, you saw it.
Dude, Anaheim at home would be fun.
On TNT at home would be fucking. I mean, it's not going to happen. Why would they put two teams that picked in the fucking bottom 13 to be the first, not one of the first games, but be on TNT or anything like that? But
sometimes you're right about the TNT thing, but sometimes the early year schedule is weird. Like, I remember one year, didn't we play the Canucks game 1 at home?
Yeah, I mean, we're always on the fucking road to start out at like 10 o'clock, so it's not that out of fucking reach.
Yeah, 3 days after the official start of the season, so it'll be like, season starts October 2nd, and I'm like, sweet, October 2nd. I go look at the schedule. It'll be like, Flyers at LA Kings, October 6th, 11 p.m. I'm like, gotcha.
And then then the next game is in Anaheim. Fucking 10:30.
It's a joke.
It really does seem like it's every year that happens, right?
Dude, for a while it was. And then I remember one year it was like, oh, the Flyers got a home game against the Blackhawks. And they're like, nope, it's in Prague. And it's at 2 p.m. I'm like, gotcha. Like, dude, it's always some bullshit, man.
Wait, no, I'm crying, dude. I remember, dude, we watched that together too.
Yeah, it was a fun game, man. It was, but it's just like, can we get like 2 home games at 7 p.m. start or 8 p.m. starts to start a season for once?
Oh, cool. We have a home game. And wait, Prague.
2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Enjoy.
Yeah, that was weird, dude. Panarin 10. What do you guys think about Konechny being traded to the Wild for 13th overall plus a prospect, perhaps Ogren? I would drive Konechny to Minnesota today for that. I think Minnesota says no, but I love the fucking energy. Absolutely. Let's get spicy, right?
What are your thoughts on Marco Rossi?
I would do it. Fuck yeah.
That's the kind of like project timeline fitting, maybe undervalued guy. Like he fits in that kind of ballpark that we talked about.
I forget where I saw it, but I remember when the Rossi rumors were running rampant before the trade deadline. I remember seeing somebody that definitely has sources. I forget who it is. Forgive me. But I remember them saying that the Flyers aren't interested in him. And we were all like, why? Why wouldn't you be interested in Rossi? But I would like it. I don't think the Flyers would make the move, but I would personally like it. That's the kind of trade that I want to see, though. I don't know that specific trade would happen, but I just want to see something like that, man, where you just like, it's like, holy fuck, they did it. You know what I mean? They took that jump, that risk. I need to see it.
Yeah. Something we've been clamoring for, man. Just don't force it.
Yeah, don't. A lot of these questions we've already answered. Like Timo Streams asked, would you look to find the 1C in the draft or via trade? And I mean, I feel like we've kind of answered. Like if Consta Helenis is there, I want him. If Catton is gone, like if it's Catton or Consta, then it's a tough decision. But I think I would lean Berkeley. But I think like the end goal would to draft a center and a defenseman in this draft, or double dip in forwards, and then still be aggressive on the trade front. Like I don't think they have to stop at drafting a center. I think you can go both avenues and then have 1, 2, 3 deep as hell. You know, I just think there's a lot of different ways that they could possibly look to surround this kid with talent. And I think this draft, and then I mean, Danny said it in his availability that 2023, 2024, and 2025 drafts are the biggest drafts in terms of the future of this franchise. So I think then this draft coming up in 2 days and next year's draft, we're going to see a lot of action with the Flyers. Like this is where they're going to try to make their moves to take that next, not to take the next step, but to set themselves up for that next step. So yeah, I think to answer your question, I think they do both. You know?
Yeah, dude, they are stock full of assets.
Yeah,
for those drafts that you just mentioned. So it really comes down to like they have so many trading chips. It really just comes down to how they play them, how they play their cards going forward. Like there's definitely a scenario where they play it wrong and don't extract anything of high value. But if they play it right, they could mix in a little bit of both. Like they have so many assets to the point where they could trade some in an effort to get a center, or they can just use it to draft a center. They're like, it's just really just comes down to how they play it at this point. But they have chips though. That's the thing. Like some teams have needs, but they have no pieces to go out and get those needs. But we have guys on our current roster who are trading chips. We have assets that are trading picks. It's really just comes down to how they play it.
Clue. 2 questions. 1, do you think the Flyers forego a center and select a defenseman to target Leon Draisaitl on free agency in 2025, or get younger and select a center to pair with Michkov? I think I kind of already answered this. I think they're really going to look center because Charlie O'Connor asked the question in that media availability, and it was kind of the question was, if you have 2 prospects that you guys like, that you really like on equal playing fields, and you can't pick which one, and one player is the center and one player is the defenseman, are you leaning center because of the organizational need? And Danny basically said yeah. So if they have 2 guys that they love and one's a center, they're going to go with the center. So I think that's where they're going to go with the high first round pick, and I think you're going to see them, if they don't trade it, dip into the defenseman with the 32nd pick, whoever's still sitting there. I don't know what Danny thinks. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it really just comes down to how the board plays out, I think.
Yeah.
If all the centers that they're targeting are scooped up and you have a defenseman they really like, I think they would consider going defenseman at that point. But who knows, man?
I just don't want it to be Yakimchuk. If it's Yakimchuk, I'm going to be upset.
I saw that on a mock draft today. Like the official mock. Yeah, it's crazy.
Second question: Are y'all going to the first Flyers preseason game to see Michkov, or waiting for the regular season?
If he's playing, like if we get confirmation that he's playing, I'd consider it. But it's weird though, because don't they normally do a split squad game?
Yeah.
Game one. So maybe the first one that he is like in the Wells Fargo Center playing the entire game. Like that's definitely one to consider. But if they're doing a split squad game, and I highly doubt they would send him on the road game, but
yeah, you know, gotta keep him home.
Dude,
I think I'll end up going to both. Huh?
Another thing I was thinking about is they should just do training camp in the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah.
Swear to God. At least have one. Remember that one year during the lockout where they had
came back as captain?
Yeah, dude, they should do that for this, because you just know that skate zone is not going to be able to fit. It's going to be packed like sardines in there, dude. It's not
going to be bad, dude.
Those little ass bleachers, I ain't going to cut it, dude.
I mean, the last time I was there, I went with Sitka, and dude, you couldn't move, and Michkov was not there. You know what I mean, dude? That is literally going to be a madhouse come training camp time. Like, it's going to be absolutely fucking insane down there, bro. I don't think they're ready for it. Like, the infrastructure of the fucking building literally might not be ready for it. A lot of these questions we've already answered throughout the hour and 11 minutes we've been talking. Who do you want at 32? I think they go defenseman, especially if they didn't go defenseman with the higher pick. What should the next season's expectations be for the team? I don't think anything crazy, right? I think we should just like stay the course. Maybe. I don't think they're going to overperform like they did last year to start. Do you?
If I had to put my money on it, I'd say no. Last year, like especially early on, a lot of things just went right in a way that I don't know if it can be replicated with this team. But maybe the Michkov magic just elevates the energy in the room again. But it's, I don't know.
Or like Fedotov and Erfson have a really good tandem there. I mean, Fedotov's getting paid pretty nice money, so I mean, it would be cool if he was solid next year. And then the defense might not look terribly awful next year, but we'll see. I just think the Flyers fans have to go into next year wanting to have fun. I think that should, I mean, I know it's cheesy to say that, but like next year should be about our young players continuing to develop, watching Matvei Michkov play hockey, accumulating assets, and then going into next year's draft ready to take another huge step. So just this year should just be about having fun, man. Like it really should be. Just enjoy the excitement that we're going to endure this season. I mean, it's going to start. The excitement's going to start in probably tomorrow and then not going to end until the season's over. So buckle up.
I don't have high expectations
No.
for the team's results for this season. I'm just, like you said, looking to have fun. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of games like where we lose 5-2, but Michkov has a goal and assist on the 2 that we do have, and I'm just going to be replaying them back over and over, and I'll be content with that. Yeah, next year is clearly not the year where we're supposed to elevate.
Some guys comment on our episode post is not listening, going to turn into TK hate like always.
Dude, we're just being real. Like, I love TK, dude. He's one of the few players that on the team that I actually really like. I made a hype video for the guy, for crying out loud. Like, I love TK. Loved him when he was drafted too. And as he like rose the ranks of the NHL, I loved watching that. But at a certain point, it's like the guy's been here, 8 seasons now? And he ain't getting younger. He's about to be in his 30s. Yeah, I get it. He's a 30-goal scorer. He embodies the logo, this, that, and the other. But I think the question really comes down to, in 2 to 3 years from now, when we're ready to be great, do you guys want to be able to have the freedom to go out and build the team around Michkov, or do you want to be just handcuffed? That's really what it comes down to, man.
That is what it comes down to with TK. But the fact that you know that they're freed up in 2026, 2027. Does that change your mind at all?
No. No, because TK is probably going to get an 8-year deal, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. How old is he now? 27, 28?
I think he just turned 28.
He's 28, 8-year deal. That'll end when he's 36. We don't need that. Like, we already have Couturier on a deal that's kind of frightening. So I don't want another guy on a deal. Like,
yeah,
I can easily see a scenario where we pay Konechny, and then for the next however so many years, Couturier and Konechny just trade places, being hurt for periods of time. Like, it's not something I want to be a part of. I want to have the freedom to build. Danny B, Keith Jones, they keep talking about how they want to emulate the Lightning. They want to emulate teams like Colorado. You don't do that by falling into the same trap that we fell into just 8 years ago. I mean, these guys have been watching from afar, too. They've seen it play out. I think Keith Jones was caught on a hot mic saying Voracek's got to go. Like, he's just an anchor on the team with Jim Jackson that one year. Remember that conversation?
Dale Weiss?
Yeah, these are guys who have been observant to the traps that the Flyers have fallen in the last decade. And I just don't think they want to recreate that. And that's a way it can be recreated. And like I said, it's nothing against the player. You got to give to get. You can't trade a Dale Weiss and get a Trevor Zegras. Like, it just doesn't work like that. So, like, you just can't trade a Dale Weiss and get a 7th overall pick. Like, it's just, you get what I'm saying.
Kind of reminds me of, I mean, we just saw Buffalo buy out Jeff Skinner today. And Jeff Skinner signed that contract in 2019. I'm pretty sure 2019 was one of his career years. Let me go look. Yeah, that's when he had 2018, 2019. So that was like the couple months before he signed that contract. He had 63 points in 82 games. So it's kind of like not completely similar in the way with Konechny and Skinner, but I mean, in terms of like age of where they're going to sign those contracts, and now you have Skinner, who is 32 years old and getting bought out of his contract now, his $9 million contract, which was an absurd overpayment at the time, and now it's still an overpayment. So it's kind of interesting when you look at like how Buffalo's relationship with him ended. And I'm not saying that Skinner is Konechny, but I mean, at one point he was really touted as like a high-end guy. So just got to be careful, you know?
Yeah, I mean, how many times, like I said, we've seen that just in our time as being fans. Guys get these long deals, and maybe the first year or two goes well, and then by the end of it, you're just like, dude, we just saw it with Kevin Hayes, and I'm not saying Kevin Hayes was Travis Konechny, but like Kevin Hayes had a great first impression on the team. I remember we were like underpaid, and then before we knew it, that was an anchor. So it's just, that's just all we're trying to avoid. We're not thinking about, do I think Konechny will still be good for the next 3-4 years? Yeah, absolutely. Like, he might put up 30 goals again, 35 goals again, but I'm really worried about when it comes time to win a cup with Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to think about the future, man. I think that's all the questions. I don't think there's anything more. I mean, a lot of repeat questions. So, Matvei Michkov is a fucking Flyer, Danny.
Can't believe it, man.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts.
Now you can play the GM modes, and it's real.
It's real, yeah. I'm honestly surprised that the ELC announcement hasn't dropped yet while we were recording.
Yeah, same. Before we started recording, I talked about how Hockey News Hub posted it was like soon ... and it said it was like a graphic. It said Matvei Michkov signed 3 years ELC.
Oh, shit.
When I saw that this morning, I was like, it's happening today. And then I looked back and I was like, where is it, man? Can we just...
Yeah, I know.
Because I still see some people, and it's probably people who aren't fully informed. They're like, it's not official yet. It's not like, dude, it is. It's just like, he's terminated from Scott. Where's he going to go? Yeah,
right. And you got the fucking Flyers account tweeting out little videos and shit. Like,
they're just like, dude. Actually, what's funny is when they tweeted out that, because I just sent you that clip last night. Remember? Of
which one? Oh yeah.
Of like him being like the liftoff documentary of him being drafted. I thought it was hilarious how they tweeted it this morning after I sent it to you last night. I actually thought it was the Liberty Yo who tweeted it at first. And then I was like, no, this is the official Flyers account that tweeted this video. I was
You
like,
thought it was me?
they're on the same mindset as us right now.
Dude, when Jonesy's like, can't wait to see that guy. I'm like, dude, that's literally every Flyers fan when they saw him walking up to the stage. There's
my
man.
man. Yeah. And then Hilford, he goes, are you happy? And he's like, oh, I'm happy.
Yeah, because Briere was like, well, he's happy. He's like, well, are you happy? Fuck yeah, dude. We just got Matvei fucking Michkov. Like, if you would have told me 3 years ago that we would end up with Michkov in 2024 on the team, I would have been like, you're fucking crazy.
Dude, they were cheesing before they even walked up. They were like, hide the name. Remember? They were at their draft
hide
table.
That
hide
shit.
The name. Hide the name. Like, dude, they played that like some mafia shit, dude.
I know. The excitement's only going to get bigger, Danny. It's only going to increase as we go. The pods are back. Michkov's here. We have development camp, next week? I'll be there. Right after the fucking draft.
Development camp. I'm sure there's going to be a Michkov presser as soon as he gets his visa and gets over here.
And speaking of the draft, excuse me.
Trades.
Derek and I are going to have like a 30-minute little draft segment at the end of this podcast. So stick around for that if you want to hear a lot of like in-depth draft talk. So we're going to go through the whole probably top 15 and maybe go to 32. We'll see. It's going to be a little later, but just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, Michkov is here. Trade rumors are swirling. Briere is still a god. And we're ready, man. We're ready for the fucking draft. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be a long, fun summer.
It'll be a long day tomorrow. I'm getting ready for Friday, dude. I feel like this week is fucking drug.
Yeah, I can't wait to finally just see how we play out on the draft floor.
Yeah,
I feel like we've talked about it for months. Like, it's just, I just want to see what happens. Like, do they actually make a move that day, or does the guy that we want fall? We'll find out very soon.
Anthony Marco just tweeted out 21 minutes ago. We missed it. Sounds like trading into the top 8 of the NHL draft is posing to be difficult, according to several sources. Prices appear far too steep at the moment for interested parties. So 1 to 8, obviously 1. So 2 to 8 is going to be extremely tough to move up to, which sucks to hear. I mean, that's honestly not something that we already didn't know, right? Like, of course, trading up to the top fucking 8 of a draft is going to be expensive. But it's just teams that are holding that position just playing hardball, in my opinion.
Yeah, like these kinds of things, they're hard on a Wednesday. But when the pressure mounts on Friday and teams are on the clock, things could change.
Exactly. And I'm here for it, bro. Let's go.
Dude, let's get it, man. It's going to be a crazy week, hopefully. Hopefully by Wednesday of next week, something has popped off that we're like, holy shit.
Yeah. And then we're back on here screaming about it.
Yep.
There we go. And I am joined by none other than Derek Dunn, the one and only suitable alias on Twitter. Welcome, brother. Been a while.
Thank you. Good to be back. We got a lot going on. A lot to talk about. Trades, even beyond what you and Danny have talked about.
Trades, prospects, just rumors. You have talks of Anthony DeMarco just tweeted out about Solberg. We were just talking about that in the group chat. At 12, I think it's totally just not in the question. I don't know. It's totally a smoke screen in my opinion, but he is a good player. It'd be somebody I would like for them to look at with that second pick if they don't trade it before.
Agreed. And he might not make it all the way to 32. It wouldn't shock me if he went in that top 15-ish range, like 15 or 16, because he is a really good player. I think the only problem I would have with a Solberg pick is I feel like you're leaving a lot of upside on the table with what we anticipate will be there instead. And I mean, even among people who, I'm going to use Carter Yakimchuk as an example, there is definitely a side of him that looks like the next star for the Kunlun Red Star. Like there's a side of him that very much looks like a Chinese player. But you have to acknowledge, even as the largest Yakimchuk hater in the solar system, that there's a lot of upside with him. That if you manage to carve away the Chinese habits, there is a real potential that he becomes an impact player at the NHL level. Whereas Solberg, I am convinced will be a very good player at the NHL level. Will he be a true impact guy, even at his topmost outcomes? Probably not. And I'd just rather take a bigger swing.
Which I think they will. I mean, we've talked about how Catton, we think, is their main target, because usually the player that the Flyers don't talk about is usually the player that they're usually going for. And last year, I mean, we had that one tweet. I think it was DeMarco. He was like, Ryan Leonard, like they like Ryan Leonard better internally, and it was just like, kind of seems like that in a way, because like you said, he is going to be a good player, but at 12, I just feel like you'd be leaving what Consta. Maybe, I mean, I just don't see Berkeley dropping. Like, you had Benson last year, and I mean, I think he's better than Benson, but a guy with that high of hockey IQ and skill, and he's not even that small. Like, it's not even like this guy's 5'7", right? So I just don't see him being there at 12. And if he is, I just don't see how you pass up on that. Like you said, what's Flair's two attributes that he likes? Hockey sense and skills. And like those are the two things that Berkeley Catton has at elite levels. So I just don't see him being there, number one. And if he is, I just don't see us passing on him.
Agreed. And the thing that should really ingratiate Catton to NHL teams besides Flair and besides Danny is the skating. This kid is a superb skater. Even by the standards of, he has to be blazing fast. He's not quite Connor McDavid, but he's not that much further down. I mean, he can straight up burn people with speed. It's not only, he's not a burner. No, he is a burner. If you want a kid to be faster than Berkeley Catton just because they're small, I think your expectations might be a little bit too high.
And it's not just his straight line speed, right? It's the edges, it's the anticipation, it's the baiting while he's in his inside edge. It's just the smarts that he has, the way he manipulates the defense, the way he sets guys up is extremely fun to watch. And he could be the pick. And if he is, could you imagine Berkeley Catton and Matvei Michkov together?
It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun because it is essentially just Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, except they're both 18 years old, and we are doing this all over again. That is basically what it is, with minor stylistic differences in both of the Point and Kucherov counterparts, but it's real damn close. And for as much as we talk about, you need size to win in the Stanley Cup, well, I just listed off the pair of dudes who were the two primary engines of two Stanley Cup winning teams in back-to-back years. Hell, they went to the finals for 3 straight years, and the reason they lost in that third year was because Point and Kucherov, the two smaller dudes, were hurt. One was out, and the other was crippled. So there you go. That you can't really say, you can't win with these small players at the top of your lineup, because Tampa did it.
Tampa did it back-to-back, too.
Tampa did it back-to-back. They almost went and three-peated like they were the 0-1 Lakers.
They did.
They were a bunch of injuries away from three-peating.
That does kind of segue us into draft talk with the Berkeley Catton stuff. A trade went down today, Derek, between Buffalo and San Jose. And in my opinion, I think it's good for Philly.
It definitely is.
San Jose moving up to 11. I mean, obviously, Celebrini's going to go number 1. It's got to be a defenseman, right? Yakimchuk.
That's what I'm thinking.
How do you say his name? Is it Perek or Perek?
I've always said Perek.
Perek.
I think that's right.
So, I mean, it's either Perek if he falls there, Yakimchuk. I mean, like, a lot of mocks have had, I mean, not that I swear by mock drafts, but we've seen a lot of mocks with the Yakimchuk to Minnesota, so it's around there. It's 13. So You never know. Buffalo's been rumored to like him, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. If you are on the Berkeley Catton train, if you are on the Constantinius train, which I feel like almost everybody is on the train of one of those two guys, then it can be nothing but good news if you're a Flyers fan, because they're probably not taking Catton. They're probably not taking Hellenius. Surely they're not taking either one of those two. The other kid that appeared in the rumors was they might be jumping the Flyers to take Cole Yzerman, which kind of dovetails back to another DeMarco report that the Flyers met again with Cole Yzerman and came away really impressed with the kid. I mean, the implication here is they've met multiple times with him, and through the sum of all those meetings, they're very impressed by Cole Yzerman. I'm 0% surprised by that. Purely as a talent, I think you can consider Cole Yzerman above all sorts of people. I would question taking another winger unless you're moving a winger. I mean, I'd question taking a winger over a center when you have about 1.5 feasible NHL centers.
At that,
I might be stretching it there. So, we were talking about on Twitter, I think the general theory is I do think the Flyers really like Cole Yzerman as a player. I don't know if they have him in an entirely separate tier as far as talent goes from Hellenius or Catton. And as Danny said, if you have a tie on talent, they're going to go with the center.
which I hope it is. I mean, I really think that this would be. I mean, next year's draft center group looks good too, but I really do hope it's the center, whether it's Consta or Berkeley. Those are my two guys. Whether it's the one or the other doesn't really matter. But real quick, just to summarize the trade. So San Jose sends to Buffalo pick 14 and 42 for pick 11. So they move up 3 spots for a second round pick. What are your impressions on that?
I mean, my impressions is it feels like they copied the template that we set back in 2019 when we moved back for Cam York. My guess is Buffalo, and we kind of figured this, Buffalo doesn't know what the hell they're taking. They're kind of just hoping that somebody falls to that spot, or they're going to trade the pick. They're probably going to trade that pick too. So Buffalo was thinking, let's get some assets in here for a pick that we never really had much use for to begin with. And San Jose, they're jumping the Flyers for somebody. And they're jumping, who picks behind us? The Wild. They're jumping the Wild for somebody too. I feel like it's going to be one of the defensemen because the Sharks have exactly 0.25 viable NHL defensemen. And this is a draft where there are a lot of defensemen who are very good. And if you don't walk away with one of them when you have this bad of a positional need at that spot, I would be absolutely stunned.
I saw something on Twitter today that Buffalo's GM saying something about how the second was enticing to them because that's an additional draft pick to throw in for a potential player to help the NHL roster this year. So in a trade, that's an additional asset that you could use in a potential trade to elevate your roster to another level potentially. So maybe they're in the market for a guy like Money Nichis.
That has been the word on the streets, is they're in heavily on Nichis, and I could see that. I think there's a fit there. So they could be trading that pick to Carolina. The fact that Carolina will no longer be picking ahead of us is probably good news if you're on the I want the Flyers to get a talented player train, because Eric Tulsky doesn't care about fits or positions or any of that shit. He's just going to take the best player available, and he's going to terrorize all of your draft boards. So definitely get him far away from where the Flyers are picking. That's a great idea.
That's actually kind of funny because congratulations to him. He's a really smart dude. I don't know if anyone's seen his credentials on his resume on Twitter, but it's pretty impressive. But that's another team that kind of like went by my head. I'm really interested to see. Went over my head. I'm sorry. I'm really interested to see what Carolina does in the draft with the new GM in place in Eric. So very interesting from that perspective. But let's jump into Consta Hellenius. How do you say his name?
Consta Hellenius, I believe.
Hellenius. I kind of said it.
Yeah, you got it right. I mean, assuming I got it right.
Yeah.
For all I know, I could be confidently saying this all wrong, but I'm going to roll with Hellenius. And Consta Hellenius is just absolutely fantastic at the sport of hockey. I feel like so the general consensus on him is that he's going to do everything right, and he's going to be this two-way play driver, and he's going to make all the right plays, but he's not going to do anything exceptional. And I mean, I agree with that to a point. I agree with that to the point that he isn't Matvei Michkov. He isn't Connor Bedard. He isn't going to do anything that's so absolutely game-breaking offensively that it'll change your life just for having seen it. But I feel like when people say there isn't offensive upside here, they're really underselling what this kid did on a few different levels. For one thing, we are talking about a top 5 point producer in Liga ever. Name me the occasion in which somebody put up the most points per game or the top 5 most points per game in any league, and we came out of it saying, I don't think he's really that good at scoring. That's a little bit weird. It would be one thing if it was just all sort of empty calorie points, like Anton Salaya at the beginning of the year could not take a shot from the point that didn't hit the net for some strange reason. That happened. But
yeah, that Cam York ability.
Yes. He went a whole straight month that every single time he fired from the blue line, it went in the net for some strange reason. And I get it. That's not projectable to the NHL. So you want to look at how they're scoring these points and if it's projectable to the NHL. If you look at what Hellenius is doing, what he's doing is he's just making a whole lot of smart plays to drive offense and to create a bunch of scoring chances for his team. And just mathematically, if you create a bunch of scoring chances for your team, some of them are going to find the net. And then you're going to get points for having done so, either a goal or an assist. It's a math equation for Consta. He's going to drive play in the right direction, and he's going to get points as a consequence for having done so.
For me, he's just somebody who's always in the right spot, right? His hockey IQ, his hockey sense is just, I would put it in not generational category, but his hockey sense is franchise level. If we were playing NHL 24, they had that franchise level because he is easily the smartest player in the draft behind. I'm probably just with Celebrini in terms of smarts, but especially for a smaller player, I see him absorbing contact and coming out of the corners extremely well. Like, he's very well balanced and quicker than I really thought he was. Like, his straight line speed isn't amazing. He's actually a pretty good skater, but the way he comes out of the corners with his edges is actually it's better than I actually anticipated. But he's like I said before, him or Catton are my two guys, right? At 12 or whether they move up. So.
And another thing, as far as like what Hellenius does and who he is, while it's true that he doesn't necessarily do anything that'll jump off the page as electrifying, he has this poise when he has the puck. He has this just preternatural calmness every time he touches the puck. He is not going to be rushed. He will solve the pressure and he will make the right play. And I've heard people on Twitter kind of like, hey, it almost reminds me of Giroux in a sense. And I can see that. Now, does he end up being the playmaker that Giroux was, the borderline Hall of Famer? All of that remains to be seen. But as far as stylistically, there's a little bit of Giroux in there.
Yeah. in terms of like patience and hands. I kind of see it. Yeah, he doesn't wow you with his speed or with his. Yeah, I actually kind of see like the more I'm talking to him, like
Yeah,
out
that's
loud,
some
I do see
sneaky
it.
board
Yeah,
play where it's like,
yeah.
man, he shouldn't be winning all these battles. He shouldn't be coming out of these corners, but here he
But he
comes.
does. Yeah, but here
Yeah.
he goes. That mixed with extremely soft hands too, because he has better hands than I thought too. Like just when I first started going and watching him, it was just I knew he was going to be good because I mean I've heard from people, but the last month or so, month and a half, it's just been like wow, like this kid is next level good. So could they possibly have two picks back to back, Derek? Because I mean those are rumors. I mean probably just fantasies, but Konechny, Farabee in a trade to get a pick? Because you know they were
Well,
in talks with Ottawa for 7th.
we did hear that the Ottawa trade that was sort of being bounced around is dead because essentially the Ottawa deal meant taking on the Korpisalo contract and in exchange for trading up. Or let me be more precise. Ottawa is sending over Korpisalo and pick 7 in exchange for Scott Lawton and pick 12. That's not going to happen anymore, mainly because Korpisalo is now a Boston Bruin, thanks to that Ullmark deal. So if you want to get pick 7, whether it be through a trade up or just straight up acquire the pick without giving up pick 12, you're really down to 2 options. Joel Farabee or Travis Konechny. And what I would say is neither of those players are the kinds of guys where they are likely going to be impacting your franchise a decade from now. Whoever you pick in this draft, if you get it right, and Flair, we should have a pretty decent amount of trust in Flair to get it right. And if he gets it right, they will have an impact player a decade down the line if they're picking in the top 12. I would much prefer that to either Joel Farabee or Travis Konechny, but especially Travis Konechny, because for some reason people have this odd idea that it's a better idea to pay 33-year-old Travis Konechny $9 million because the cap is going up. I definitely want him more than I want some top prospect. What? Are we talking about the same hockey player? I'm sorry, did we acquire Giroux again? Did Giroux find the fountain of youth, turn 26 years old, and then come up on an expiring contract? Is that what happened here? Is 28-year-old Giroux wearing a Konechny jersey? Is that what's happening? Because if that's what's happening, then it would certainly explain how all of these people on Twitter who really want to re-sign Travis Konechny are coming to this opinion. Assuming that no weird body switching stuff occurred, we are left with Travis Konechny, a very useful player for a contending team, and a very useless and overpaid player if you are attempting to rebuild in any way, shape, or form.
You know he's going to resign, right?
He's totally going to resign because this front office has no idea what the hell it's doing. Seriously, I don't understand the logic. I don't get it. What is the logic?
I'm actually kind of more concerned with. I mean, I know you're talking Konechny, but the fact that like we were even in talks to acquire that contract with Korpisalo and Lawton, yeah, I don't love it. You know, I mean, I'm kind of glad it's dead if that's what it was. You know,
I feel like we're taking on a lot of dead money, like just almost for no reason. Like,
how many years does he have left on that? Let me look up. Yeah, talk a little bit.
Like, we're taking on a bunch of dead money for players who not only aren't good, they're not just overpaid, they shouldn't be getting paid in the first place. Ryan Johansson isn't an NHL player. Cam Atkinson isn't an NHL player. Cal Peterson isn't an NHL player. Jonas Korpisalo, he may be an NHL player, but it's borderline. Like, we are taking on guys who are completely useless and taking up all of our cap space. And so far, what we've done in exchange for all of this cap space is acquire some late first round picks, which we have so far used to pass on Gabe Perreault. And we will see what they use with their late first round picks for coming up. Maybe Danny will come in tomorrow and he will wow me with what he does with selection 32. I will say I don't have super high expectations there, if only because this draft, once you get by that like top 15, 16 guys, it's not great. Like the amazing part of this draft. Yeah, that's true. Teddy Stiga. Maybe he will get Teddy Stiga. Maybe he will be the team that fleeces everybody else, acquires Teddy Stiga, who is easily in the top 15 of this draft on pure talent, and then this will all be a moot point. But I will say, I think I'm a little concerned by all of the money we are throwing out for marginal value at best.
TK is probably going to resign, in my opinion. I'm in the boat with you. I think I would rather trade him.
Speaking of a lot of money for marginal value at best, let's talk about Travis Konechny's extension. I'm sorry. That was just sitting there for me. I had to take it.
8x8. 8x8.5 probably.
There was this thing on Twitter. I forget who posted it, but really not just one person. This is a common thing. Well, of course, you have to understand we have to pay Travis Konechny more money because we are extending him at a time when the cap is going up. Okay, that's true. But here's the thing. Why on God's green earth would I pay 33-year-old Travis Konechny more than what he was worth at 28 years old because the cap's going up? That would assume, okay, if he's the same player at 33, we have to pay him the same amount of money. We have to pay him, and the cap, okay, hold on. If he's the same player at 33 that he is at 28 and the cap goes up, then that means in order for him to be valued in the same way, we have to pay him 5 years down the line what he would be worth. So let's say he's a $7 million player now, but he'd be a $9 million player down the line when the cap takes a bunch of leaps, assuming he's the exact same player at 33 that he is at 28. Okay, here's the thing. How likely is that? How likely is it that he'll be the exact same player at 33 that he was at 28? We are talking about a 28-year-old growing into a contract. How often do you hear that bullshit? Like usually it's, Cam York. We're going to overpay Cam York at 22 years old because when he's 25, he's going to grow into that contract. Oh, okay. That makes sense. With Konechny, we're talking about, well, we're going to pay 28-year-old Konechny more than he's worth because when he's 32, he's going to grow into that contract. Bitch, how? That is completely against biology. That is against human nature. Who is going to be better in the sport of professional hockey at 32 than they are at 28? People will say Brad Marchand. I don't even think that applies to Brad Marchand. Like that.
No, I hate that.
Maybe applies to Joe Pavelski, but he ain't Joe Pavelski either. So, and that's the other thing. People love to make the Marchand comparison. It reminds me of when we were going to re-sign Coots to that long-term deal. What do we always say about Coots? Hey, maybe he'll age like Bergeron. And it made some sense. Watching Coots, watching Bergeron, it kind of saw some similarities in the two. And it wasn't a lofty comparison because Coots had already done a lot of the things Bergeron had done, including win a Selke at the time of signing this. So there was legitimate reason to believe maybe Coots will age like Bergeron. What happened instead? He had back surgery, 2 back surgeries, missed 2 entire years, came back for the 3rd year, was actually a really good player for half the year until he got a sports hernia, tried to play through it, and became an absolutely unusable player for the second half of the year. And now all of a sudden we're talking about the Couturier contract as if we're just going to have to eat that. It's a pretty big contract, and it's got a good amount of years left on it, and we're just going to have to eat it. Okay. Now let's move this back over to Konechny. You say he can be Marchand. Maybe. Maybe he can be Marchand. You know what else can happen? He can have 2 consecutive back surgeries, not play for 2 years, and then come back for the 3rd year totally washed. And then you're talking about 6 years of Travis Konechny at $9 million when he's a $3 million player. All because you thought we had to have Travis Konechny right at this very moment. Is it really worth the risk?
Or he signs an 8-year deal for $9 million and then scores 80 points if we're talking hypotheticals.
Yeah, that is a pretty big hypothetical. Sure, maybe he does. And
put him on PP1 with Michkov, and maybe he does.
Maybe I'll put Tippett on PP1 with Michkov, and he'll score 80 points.
Honestly, Tippett could score 40 points if you put him on a line. If it's like Tippett, Couturier, Michkov on a line, like I really do think Michkov could elevate Tippett to like a 40 goal scorer, and then there you have a pretty good value contract.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I didn't even mean that super ironically. I think Tippett is a very good idea of a player who can be elevated by Michkov because he brings some athletic tools to the table that he has not done a great job of maximizing by himself. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the best ideas on how to use his talents. Well, Michkov's superpower is having the best ideas to use everyone's talents. It's kind of what he does. He's a freaking genius. So I could easily see him putting Tippett in position to score 40 goals and get 40 assists along the way. It's not even that many more assists than he has right now. All of a sudden, we're talking about an 80-point player, and we're talking about an 80-point player on a $6.5 million contract. Not even. I think I understated. That's a lot.
No, I think it's like 6.2. I'm pretty sure you hit the nail on the head.
So there we go. We're talking about a 80-point player on a contract over $6 million.
6.2.
That's a lot more valuable than maybe we'll stick Konechny on Michkov's line with his $9 million contract, and maybe he'll just barely deliver value requisite with his salary.
Tippett's the lot better bet and value in terms of contract and what he could potentially do. Because, I mean, Tippett's still, 25 years old? So that's somebody that can grow into a contract like you just got done saying. The Konechny thing, like, you make a great point. Like, yeah, you could give him Michkov and he puts up 90 points. But, I mean, you could give Tippett, who's on that contract, Michkov, and you could probably do the same thing with that guy. So it's a very interesting point. We'll see where it goes. We have heard that contract talks with him have gone a little weird, according to Friedman. So maybe Danny is Maybe Danny is on the right track there.
Maybe Danny's been reading some suitable alias on Twitter, and he said, holy shit, you know what? This Konechny guy, he ain't it, brother. But really, to wrap up Travis Konechny, this is what I'm going to say. People are correct. Maybe we can put him on a line with Matvei Michkov, and Matvei Michkov will elevate Travis Konechny to another level. Me, personally, I'm not trying to pay a dude $9 million so he can get elevated by somebody else. I'm trying to pay a dude $9 million so he can be that guy who elevates somebody else. And if he's not that guy, then why are we paying him as much as we're talking about paying him?
Yeah, it's a good point. Absolutely. I mean, it's tough to argue that. I mean, you could argue that you just have a guy at 29. Well, how old is he? 28, 29 years old who
he's fucking 50.
90 point player, and you're overpaying him by like $1 million or $2 million or $1.5 million. So I am interested to see where those talks go, because it is kind of weird to hear that it's not going the way they wanted it to.
There is a somewhat interesting thing to talk about with Konechny, and I mean, the people are expecting a 45-minute long rant of suitable alias finally taking down the October peaking motherfucker. So I guess we can dive into this a little bit more. But really, if you think about it, and you have this Elliot Friedman report who's like, yeah, these contract talks ain't going nearly as well as we all kind of expected. And before that, you had Anthony DeMarco, who's also an insider, serious repute, who was talking, this Konechny negotiation probably isn't going to be easy. Konechny's probably going to drive a hard bargain. And maybe not, they'll extend him. That's kind of the tone of both Elliott and DeMarco, people who actually talk with NHL sources. Meanwhile, you have the beat reporters, and I don't mean to call out any individual. I just mean like the beat reporters who are working for the Flyers generally are all very much of the opinion that Travis Konechny getting re-signed is a formality. The contract's already done. He just needs to sign it. That's sort of what we've been led to believe this entire time.
Really?
Were it not for these beat reporters, why would we believe that? Because Elliot Friedman isn't saying that. Anthony DeMarco isn't saying that. Danny Briere isn't saying that. When Danny Briere was asked about extending Travis Konechny on an interview with Jason Mertatis, he said, yeah, maybe we'll get something done. It has to make sense for us. So he's not sounding like a guy who's waiting for a contract to be signed. He's saying, maybe I can extend him, maybe I won't. And that's been the general tone of everybody who really has dove into this situation and gotten an insider's perspective. The only people who think re-signing Travis Konechny is a formality and a certainty are the beat reporters. And I find this interesting, not as a shot against any of them. I will reiterate that. I find it interesting because Travis Konechny's agent has been doing a lot of negotiating through the media. And, we got the asking price. We got the price they're willing to settle at. We're getting a lot of figures thrown at us, probably by Travis Konechny's agent. And if he was willing to negotiate through the media to that extent, who's to say he wasn't negotiating through the media by having the beat reporters tell a story about how certain it is that they're going to re-sign Travis Konechny and they're going to pay him a lot of money and get ready for that. And here's why it's not a bad idea. It really might be the case that Travis Konechny's agent was laying the groundwork to get a big contract from the Flyers months before they went to the table.
Do you think the Michkov situation, I mean, I don't even think I have to ask you if you think. I know for a fact that it definitely doesn't help his cause going into those contract negotiations, the fact that Michkov's coming over, because Michkov's going to be this team's top line right wing. No doubt about it. Like, the kid is going to be a player. So that's got to do nothing but hurt you. And I love the fact, I didn't even know Danny said what you just said he said. Oh, that was kind of weird to say. But the radio answer, it has to make sense for us. I like that answer. Obviously, it's not going to give you anything of any kind of substance, but he might give you a little.
He might lean you in a certain direction, and I feel like he was doing that here.
Yeah, I do too. I like that answer. It's simple. It's quick. I agree. Like, it's just. Would I sign like a 5x6? Not 5x, a 5x8.5, a 5x9, maybe. Would Konechny do it? No, because it doesn't make sense. Because this is Konechny's time to cash in. This is going to be the payday for his career. He is. Hold on.
800 years old.
He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 in March. So it's not like he's that. He was born in 1997. He was born 2 years before me. I'll be 25 in August. So he's still semi-young. It doesn't make sense for him to take anything, because this contract that he's going to sign is going to lead him into his early to mid 30s. So it's either 8 by 9.5, or he's not here. Like, it doesn't make sense for 8 by 9.5 in terms of the Flyers' perspective, because it doesn't make sense with them. I mean, you're going to pay him 9.5 to play on a second line or play with Michkov, when Tippa could just do the same thing. So it is interesting. I like that answer from Briere.
I do, and I think it shows that Briere. I don't know if Briere fully knows what he wants to do yet, and I don't say that in a bad way. As in, maybe Briere can be convinced to re-sign Konechny. But I also think there are probably deals on the table right now that include Travis Konechny that he's like, it's kind of tempting. It's pretty tempting.
I think he's just doing I just think he's doing the same thing he did with the Sean Walker situation. I mean, we heard so many different, he's doing this, they're thinking about re-signing him, blah, blah, blah. And it's just him testing the waters, him opening up every door. You know what I mean? And I like that. He's doing his homework. He's looking at every kind of avenue. And I think he's doing the same thing with Konechny. Is there an avenue that he could take where Konechny re-signs? Absolutely. Is there another one where he's not here? Like, he has everything up on the board right now, and I know, like, he's not dumb. Like, he's definitely. If me and you were sitting here, like, it doesn't really make that much sense, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if he came back. But in terms of like getting assets now and putting young stars around Michkov is the number one thing you want to do. It's just, I'm sure we're not the only ones thinking that, right? So he's definitely asking himself that in a closed room with everything up on the board. So it's going to be interesting, man. Like, I think this draft and next draft are going to be like two biggest drafts. Like he said in his media availability a couple weeks ago, or last week, I think it was. Really important drafts last year, this year, and then next year. So it's
absolutely. And actually, you know what? I have, and there's probably one thing that I could explain in terms of the draft, my little hot taking on Twitter that I've probably made my point decently well on Twitter, but I also think it's something where I'd rather use the spoken word while I have it, and that is on Zane Parekh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this. In regards to Danny Briere, when his lips are moving, he's lying. We have learned that with absolute certainty, and I say that, frankly, endearingly. I think it's a good thing that when his lips are moving, he's lying, and you have absolutely no idea what's really up his sleeve. And I'm going to segue into that with this. You have no idea what's really up his sleeve. When you first think about Zane Parekh being a target for the Flyers, a lot of people's initial reaction is, well, that doesn't make any sense. They just traded for Jamie Drysdale. So why would you also acquire Zane Parekh? Well, if you think about it a little bit deeper, I, for one, don't actually believe they see Jamie Drysdale as the type of player in his prime where he's just all offense all the time and he provides absolutely no value the other way. I think he's got some learning to do both defensively and offensively. But if you looked at him when he was a juniors player, that wasn't who he was. That wasn't who he was as a prospect. He wasn't an all offense kind of guy. He was a playmaker in the offensive zone, and he was a guy who used his skating to get to places defensively and cover ground that other people couldn't cover, kind of like a Gustav Forsling who likes to pass instead of shoot. And I think if I were the Flyers, that would be sort of the roadmap I want to take with Jamie Drysdale. I don't want to turn him into a shutdown guy necessarily. I want to use his athleticism, both with the puck and away from the puck, and I want to turn him into an all-situations monster. Kind of like another shade of Cam York, frankly. I want to have two of those guys.
Yeah.
But if you have two of those guys, all of a sudden that leaves a fair amount of room for an all offense all the time psychopath like Zane Parekh.
Which he is.
That dude's a nutcase as far as how to create offense. Like, if Michkov decided to become a defenseman, it might look a little bit like Zane Parekh. And
you imagine those two together?
Fucking geniuses. I remember back in December, I was like, if we were just drafting dudes who would probably get along, the freaking genius that is Matvei Michkov, he'd probably get along with the freaking genius that is Zane Parekh. And
probably would.
He probably would. So there's that. The fact that you have more room than people think for an all-offense kind of guy in the future defense core. It's also a backup plan, just in case Jamie Drysdale doesn't go all that well. Let's say Jamie Drysdale, his development goes like shit. Well, at least we still have Zane Parekh. And maybe he pops off and all of a sudden our defense is where we want it to be, or at least close enough. So it gives you, a backup plan, But B, not just a backup plan, it gives you a scenario where I could easily see both Drysdale and Parekh thriving in different roles on the same team. And the other thing is, in the modern day, in the modern game, you are seeing a whole ton of 5-man attacks in the offensive zone. It isn't just the 3 forwards cycling the pucks between each other anymore. The defensemen are pinching in all the time. The defensemen are handling the puck all the time. Like you saw it in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, one of the best scoring chances the Panthers had. It looked like a freaking guaranteed goal, except it was Dmitry Kulikov handling the puck.
Yeah.
You want to minimize those situations when you're sending your defensemen low, when you're having them pinch, when you're having them collect these pucks in the slot. I'd much rather it be Jamie Drysdale or Zane Parekh than I would have it be Nick Seeler. Yeah, that's not an insult to Nick Seeler. It's just as you create these 5-man attacks, you want more and more guys who can attack. So I think from that perspective, Parekh is a sneaky target. But another way he's a sneaky target is I feel like in the case of his defense, we should be very specific about what his limitations are and also what his strengths are, because I believe he gets a bit of an unfair rap. And including by me early in the draft cycle, when I first started watching Parekh, I didn't really notice anything he did good defensively. But when you watch more and more, he has legitimate strengths as a defender. He's actually kind of above average at defending the rush. He's not he's not somebody that you're going to pick on one-on-one off the rush, because he's a very good skater and he's got a sneaky good stick right now.
His gaps are awesome.
Oh, yeah. Awesome gaps. And sometimes he gets overpowered because of his size, but he's going to be there and he's going to provide that layer of resistance, which for a creator like him, that's a big box checked. And the other side of it.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah, I think you were getting to it because he's wicked smart. That's what we've been talking about. He's wicked smart, and he uses that intelligence to pick off all sorts of passes and plays in the defensive zone because he's in the minds of these offensive players. He knows what they're going to do, and he's very good at not only knowing what play is going to come when, but putting his stick in a position to break up that play. And when that happens, he's very quick on his feet, both literally and cognitively, that he'll make a play up to a forward and you're breaking out of the zone. All that stuff, breaking up plays and defending the rush and all that stuff. Zane Parekh is either very good or good enough. Retrievals are a bit of a adventure with him, mainly because he just doesn't fight for inside position all that well. He's almost like the anti-Constantinius. Like we were talking about how Constantinius, he gets to that corner no matter what. He will come out of that corner with the puck no matter what. For whatever reason, Parekh just isn't that guy. And it's a little bit surprising, which means he might develop this as time goes on. But right now, he's sort of just kind of lets people beat him to retrievals and just tries to pin him while they collect the puck and while they work off of him. And all of a sudden, you're stuck in the defensive zone because Zane Parekh couldn't retrieve the puck. That's the weakness. And if you're the Flyers, I think, A, you're looking at the fact that he could develop, but B, you're looking at the fact that you got a left-handed defenseman in Cam York, who really one of his specialties is retrieving pucks. Like he's one of the best in the NHL already at just retrieving pucks, eating that hit, taking a play, and making that first pass. He can do that in his sleep. And you wouldn't think York-Parekh as a pair where it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to have York cover up the weaknesses of Zane Parekh. But it probably would work because Zane Parekh's weaknesses isn't defensive zone coverage. Zane Parex's weaknesses isn't getting torched off the rush per se. Zane Parex's weaknesses is retrieving pucks. You want to limit him having to do that, and Cam York can limit him having to do that by being the guy who goes and gets it as many times as it's physically possible.
My thing with Parekh is he has the traits that you can't teach, and the things that he needs to learn are things you can teach. right? Like him being second to the puck in the corners and him not really being physical in the corners is something that he will just develop. I mean, he's going to get bigger. He's a teenager right now. As he develops and gets bigger and grows into his body and learns the NHL and the pro game, he'll start to go in the corners and take those pucks out. And I mean, he has the skating ability to retrieve pucks, but I just think right now in his development, he doesn't really have it or wants to go and do it. I don't think he has the ability. He's a skinny kid. But, I mean, the things that he needs to learn are things that are coachable. But the things you can't teach are the skating ability, the hockey smarts, the hands. It's just, you can't teach that, and he has that. So he's a kid that if that's who they're trading up for, if it's like Berkeley Catton or him or Consta, I'm happy.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you're going to trade up for a defenseman, I think he's the one, or Zeev Boyum. Zeev Boyum is still my favorite defenseman in the class, but I don't know.
Talk about puck retrievals.
Oh, my God, this kid's a master. And it's funny because if you look at his, like, track data by Elite Prospects, they track all this stuff. Zeev Boyum doesn't have the highest retrieval success percentage. But if you look at why that is, it's because when Zeev Boyum goes to retrieve the pucks, he's limit testing. He will try some of the craziest bullshit. Like, he's throwing multiple shoulder feints, and he's trying to pass out between his legs, and so he'll fail more often than he probably should fail. But he's only doing it because he's trying to see how much he can get away with at that level. And I think once and this will apply to the NHL as well, once he gets the idea of, okay, this is what I can get away with, this is what I can't get away with, he's going to be automatic. And he's going to be like pretty much literally, I will do everything defenseman in this draft. There's things he does better than others. Like mainly it's his transition play. And he's also the second best offensive creator in this class, but he's a pretty good defender as well. He's not a slouch defensively at all. And you put all those things together and you get, in my opinion, the most well-rounded, the most versatile defenseman in this class, and the most likely true number one defenseman as far as they go. So I'd be ecstatic if they found a way to pick him. I feel like he's going high, though.
Yeah, I got him in my top 4. I think he goes top 4.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of that, the end of the show, we're already close to almost a 2-hour show, which is crazy. We're going to do a little quick mock draft. You want to do top 10? No, top 15. We'll do.
Yeah.
And we'll go back and forth. All right, one last one.
We'll rapid fire this a little bit.
So I'll be the first one. San Jose, definitely going to go Macklin Celebrini. So you got Chicago at 2.
All right, Chicago at 2. All of the streets are saying they're going Lev Shunov. I think I've mocked Lev Shunov to them before. I totally get the logic. I know there are some Bedard, Demidov believers out there, and they'll talk about Taves and Kane. My response to that is Bedard and Demidov aren't Taves and Kane. They are Kane and Kane. And while that sounds fun as hell, I don't know if they kind of like encroach on each other's territory, if we're being honest. So yeah. I'm going Lev Shunov. I'm getting Bedard, a potentially foundational defenseman on the back end who can get him the puck a lot. We see the difference that Evan Bouchard made for the Oilers, and I don't even think Bouchard and Lev Shunov are comparables. I just mean having a defenseman like that on the back end is more of a benefit to your forwards than people think. And I think Chicago recognizes that and takes Lev Shunov at 2.
Anaheim, I think they just sit there and take whoever Chicago doesn't take. So I think they just go Demidov. I think he's an elite player. We've seen him with the English in the interviews. He's actually pretty decent at it too, so it's pretty cool seeing that. But in terms of just his hockey IQ, his scoring ability, I think he had 23 goals in the NHL, 60 points in 30 games. So the kid's skill level is next level. His smarts, his hands. The skating concerns I'm not really concerned with. I think his inside edges are fine. He's not the best straight line speed guy in the world, but doesn't really need to be with his hands and his IQ. So, yeah, Ducks just go whoever they don't take. So Demidov to the Ducks, which have an insanely loaded forward core now.
Seriously, they really do. And I'm sitting at Columbus. I'm thinking, if Demidov gets to Columbus, I feel like the slide ends there. But since Demidov didn't get to Columbus, I'm looking at the board. I'm thinking it's either Salayev or Caden Lindstrom. For them, I'm going to take Caden Lindstrom. I feel like having the chance to have maybe the two most athletic center prospects to come out of the draft in the past 8 years between Fantilli and Caden Lindstrom is too much to pass up, and I think they grab him happily.
Canadians? I think if Demidov is gone and
Lindstrom is gone, oh man, this is their doomsday scenario.
That is their doomsday scenario. You're right. I think if that does happen, it's between Tisha Glinia and Zeev.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's going to be Zeev. If this is the way the board falls, it's going to be Steve Bouillon. I don't even have to go in depth after what you just said about him. He's just he's probably he's the second best defenseman on my board, and I think you could definitely argue that he could be number one. He's an extremely good player. Doesn't have the size that Lev Shnov does, but I mean, in terms of everything else, puck retrieval, the dude is an absolute demon in terms of that. Just the way he can go back. I was watching one of the games he was playing in Denver. The way he can bait guys that think he's going one way, his ability to move his body and skate the way he does to get out of his own zone is incredible. And his first pass is always crisp as hell. You gotta love a defenseman who constantly hits that first pass, whether or not where they are in the ice. He could deke, go left behind the net, and actually not be where a left-handed defenseman should be passing the puck. But the way he can just connect passes is great. So I think Montreal picks up him, which is kind of crazy because they go with another defenseman.
And, there's a point that Proman made as far as if you're looking for offense, sometimes defensemen are so good at creating offense that are you not addressing the need for offense by drafting them? And in this draft, I think there's two defenders you can say that about, Zane Parekh and Steve Bouillon. They're so good with the puck on their stick that they are helping you offensively, even despite the fact that they don't technically line up as forwards. So with number 6, I feel like Bouillon to Utah would have been a just fantastic fit. So this isn't their doomsday scenario, but I think if the board falls like this, the way they're going is Beckett Seneca, and I'm a little more shaky on Beckett Seneca than most, but I look at what Utah really likes, and he's kind of right up their alley. Super big, not super big, but he's a big kid with really ridiculous hands. He showed in the second half of the season that he can sort of play a play finisher kind of role where he's going to take the puck, he's going to make the move and score the goal, or he's going to make the move and set up a teammate with a nice little pass across the crease. He's going to be that guy where it's not Nathan McKinnon where he's going end to end. I don't know if he could do that at the NHL level like he did in the first half, but if he's that guy who's taking the puck from Clayton Keller and finishing that play off, I think he could thrive.
And that leaves me with Ottawa,
who trades to pick the Philly.
If that's the way the board falls, I can see Ottawa going with another kind of Erik Karlsson comp type defenseman in Zane Parekh. I don't have to go into much detail about him because you just did, but I can see them. First of all, their prospect pool is completely barren. I mean, they have absolutely nobody in their prospect pool, so he would immediately become the best prospect in their system. They need defensemen. They don't need another forward. This would be heaven for them if Zane is still there, which he probably will be. So they get a guy 96 points in 66 games last year. Derek just went off about him. I don't even have to add to it. It was beautifully said. Great draft. Great start to a draft for Ottawa.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm scratching my head. Who picks at 8?
Seattle.
Yes, Seattle. Okay, so Seattle, I feel like we've all pegged a defenseman here for them. If Zeev is there, I think they love him. If Zane is there, I think they could get on board with that. In this case, neither of them are there, so I'm going right down the board of defenseman to Sam Dickinson. I've been on the side of I think this is a pretty good fit for a while now, because when I look at what made Seattle effective in that year where they made the playoffs, it was like they were this oppressive forechecking team who kind of kept things simple in the offensive zone, and they just dominated puck retrievals, and play was always tilted to their side of the ice. And when I look at Sam Dickinson, I think he kind of creates that same environment. I think that's what he does for the London Knights. Like, he isn't getting in there and he isn't activating in the offensive zone a whole ton. He's just taking that puck. Well, he's making the defensive play. He's taking that puck. He's getting that puck out, and he's keeping play down in that offensive zone where he can use that bomb of a shot to just pelt the goalie until they either A, let a soft one in, B, give up a deflection, or C, create a retrieval scenario for that suffocating Seattle forecheck that they want to play with. So I think Sam Dickinson's a really good fit, and that takes us to Calgary.
Calgary, if the board falls this way, I got them selecting Tisha Glenn. Great pick. I mean, not even with the Calgary connection. Throw that to the side. I mean, this kid is easily the hardest working player in the draft. Tenacious forecheck, soft hands, great shot. I mean, every time I watch this kid, I feel like his shot gets better. 47 goals last year in the WHL, 84 points in 64 games. Just, I feel like that's what they need as well. Calgary is, again, depleted prospect pool. Not as bad as Ottawa, but still not great. So adding a guy like, again, even without the connection with his dad and the name, is a no-brainer pick for me.
So if we're assuming New Jersey doesn't trade the pick, if the first 9 picks go like this, I'd seriously consider trading the pick if I were them. I bet you could get something pretty sweet. And I don't look at many of these players as like, oh, yeah, they fit in a Devils lineup. The one guy that I think really fits in a Devils lineup, though, is Michael Brandsegard.
He's the most NHL-ready guy outside of Celebrini and Lev.
Mm-hmm. Super NHL-ready, super details-oriented. A lot of the stuff that we give praise to Tisha Ginla for being so good at, as far as playing the game the right way and all of the details on the forecheck and all that stuff. Brandsegard is the same kind of player. And like Ginla, he also has one hell of a shot. So if I'm New Jersey, I'm thinking he doesn't need to be super dynamic, because I'm going to stick him next to Jack Hughes, and he's just got to A, get Jack Hughes the puck, and B, reposition himself to score goals once he receives passes from Jack Hughes. That's his entire role, and I think he can fill that role very well.
I actually really like that pick. He's my sleeper to move up to be like a top 8 or 7 pick. Like, he's got skills, man. He's got one of the best shots in the draft. Like you said, one of the hardest working guys in the draft, right next to Tisha Glenn. I love that fucking pick. Like, that's a really good pick for the Devils, even though I fucking hate the Devils.
I did the Devils way too good. What the fuck? I should have picked Styan Solberg.
So I get the Sharks pick, which just got traded by Buffalo. And for them, if the draft falls this way, it's beautiful, because I think they go Carter Yakimchuk. I mean, we talked about him, 6'3", 203, huge defenseman. Great hands. I mean, if you go on YouTube and you type up his dangles, I mean, the kid has dangles for days. It's just all he does. I mean, we and you have talked about our concerns with him, just the defense during the rush, his gaps, the over-aggressiveness. I think he was like the 4th most penalized player in the WHL last year. So there are things to fix, but again, like the same thing I said with who are we talking about? Zane Parekh. The things that he needs to work on are coachable. And the kid is 6'3", 203, has the hands that he does have. And all you got to teach him is, hey, get better at your gaps, the over-aggressiveness needs to stop. Brad Shaw would have a day with him. So I think this would be a great pick for San Jose, and I think this is why they're trading up.
Agree. Bradshaw would have a day with him. It's probably the best counter argument for those of us who are like anti-Yakimchuk to the Flyers people. Like, the first
and that's
thing,
coming from me.
Oh, yeah. Like, the first thing that you can tell Stumps and I when we are bitching after the Flyers select Carter Yakimchuk in the unlikely event that they do, Derek, It's fine. Stumps, it's fine. Derek, this isn't Konechny 2.0, Derek. It's okay. Bradshaw is going to get this kid, and he is going to turn him into a demon. I'm going to be like, okay, you're probably right.
That would probably help me out a little bit, not going to lie.
So everybody keep that in mind just in case he goes 12 instead of 11, and the Flyers are picking 12. But he didn't. He went 11, which means the Flyers are on the board at 12. And as Cole Eiserman's propagandist, I would love to take him. I can't because there's just too many other good players on the board. With a need for the Flyers is much more apparent. We are going to take. It's actually hard to pick between.
I know. I'm actually kind of anticipating what you're going to say.
Okay, we're going to take.
Not so easy now to be GM, is it, Derek?
No, it's much easier when it's Travis Konechny and I just got to ship him to Siberia. No, we can't make the hard decisions. Okay, we're going to make the hard decisions. And this is partly based on how I feel like they're going to feel. We're going with Berkeley Catton.
Yes.
Yeah. And as hard as it is, the way I'm going to rationalize this is both Berkeley Catton and Constantinius are incredibly smart players. And the thing is Consta might be a bit smarter than Berkeley Catton. I feel like he is. Here's the thing. Catton is levels above as a skater. And Constantinius is a pretty good skater. Catton is one of the better skaters in the entire draft. He is arguably the best puck handler in the entire draft. Obviously, there's people who would certainly refute that claim, but he's right up there in terms of the arguments for best puck handlers in a draft as well as best skaters. And the big danger with players like Catton is that they don't understand when they have to get off the puck. They don't understand when they have to give up the puck and when they've created space for a teammate and when they don't have to overtangle. But Catton's not like that. Catton isn't going to overtangle. Catton makes quick decisions. He knows when he's attracted to pressure. He knows when his teammates have space, and he gets the puck right to them. And if you're putting a guy like that with Michkov, I mean, the give and go sequences that they can create off the rush will be mythological. So I think you couldn't really go wrong if you're the Flyers here and you stick to like any of these three dudes, but I'm taking Berkeley Catton. I think they're taking Berkeley Catton if the board falls like this.
So I get 13 Minnesota. If they keep the pick, I honestly, and I don't know if a lot of people would have this, I have them going Cyan Solberg. I really think they could use a defenseman. I'm really high on that kid, and I feel like 13 is high because people were talking about they would freak out. For the Flyers at 12, it would make little sense, but I feel like for Minnesota, it would be a really good pick. That kid, and it's not just like, oh, he likes to hit. Get him in here. You know what I mean? That's not what he does. Like the kid skates extremely well. He evades pressure and talk about puck retrieval is extremely, extremely good at that. And he's better offensively than people give him credit for. So I think he's extremely aggressive in transition. He loves to join the rush. So I think he could be somebody that could go higher than a lot of people anticipate.
I think so. And he feels like a very Minnesota Wild-like player to me. So
yeah, I like that Nick Seeler type shit. But he's like Nick Seeler with skill.
Like he's like
actually like break a puck out and like receive a pass in an offensive zone without like fumbling it.
If Nick Seeler is closing his eyes and dreaming of what he wants to be like as an NHL player, it very well could look a lot like Solberg.
Yep, that's exactly what.
So that's a viable pick to me, and especially from Minnesota's point of view, they'd love him. Going to pick 14, I'm so used to saying the Sharks have this, but they don't. The Buffalo Sabres have this, and they're probably going to want to trade it because I'm sitting here thinking I don't know what they really pick. I mean, if I'm picking here, it's a no-brainer. I'm taking Cole Eiserman. Frankly, I think the team that gets him is lucky he's fallen this far because...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's start with what Cole Eiserman is, the best goal scorer in the draft by a significant margin, and that's a draft including Macklin Celebrini, and I'm saying this with absolute confidence. So that's how good of a goal scorer he is. And as much as there are definitely flaws in his game, I'm not going to go into a super long segment breaking them down. I feel like I've done it before. I feel like we all know my stance on Cole Yzerman. But what I'll say is, for all of the flaws in his game, he is one of the youngest players in the draft. He's an August 29th birthday or something ridiculous. He has way more developmental runway than a lot of prospects. We are talking about like Carter Yakimchuk. Bradshaw's going to turn him into a monster. Cole Yzerman is 10 months, I believe, younger than Carter Yakimchuk. It's something along that area, 9-10 months. He's 9 months younger than Ivan Demidov. Like, he has so much runway that if you are a team who is convinced that he wants to get better and all the public stuff he does, he really seems like a kid who's super hungry to improve. You could have selected one of the 5 highest upside players in this draft at number 14, which would be a tidy piece of business for any team.
Yeah. 15, Detroit. And I think that your heart might hurt with this pick, but this is the way the board falls. If it goes Celebrini, Levshinov, Demidov, Lidstrom, Buyum, Beckett. How do you say his name?
Seneca, I believe.
Seneca? Okay. Beckett, Seneca, Perrick, Dickinson, Aguna, Nygaard, Yakimchuk, Catton, Solberg. Constantine is going to go to Detroit. That's going to be their pick.
He's such an
They need centers, too.
He is such an Yzerman player.
Steve
Yzerman
smart.
is like, I'm surprised he hasn't traded up to select Constantinius. Like,
5th.
Yeah, no, that 5th. First. He's calling up.
Honestly, that would be something Yzerman would do.
He's calling up San Jose.
He's fucking nuts, dude.
You can
that
have
trade today. That trade with Wallman, man. That's a brutal trade in my opinion. But to get back to Consta, I think that's a Detroit pick. They need centers. So he could. I'm sorry, I thought my mic cut out. They need centers, number one. And the fact that he's still there, in my opinion, would be crazy. But like you said, Yzerman, the pick before, the fact that he's still there. So it's like the draft 1 to like 14 it's looking nice. So I think Detroit gets insane value right there with Consta. I don't have to go too deep to him because I feel like the 3, like all my picks, you've already gone on like set like long fucking paragraphs about. So Detroit gets a real good one with him though. It's extremely good value for them.
That's something to be ecstatic about if you're a Red Wings fan, and you probably needed a little more than most days because you just gave up a perfectly good like top 4 defenseman really for nothing and threw in a 2nd round pick to do it. I don't understand what the point is there. Clearly the Yzer plan is it's beyond my comprehension.
That will be it. That will be the end of the show. 1 hour and 9 minutes. This is going to be a very long show. We haven't been around for like 2-3 weeks, so this is sort of I'm sorry, but we'll definitely be back with more content, more Derek. Follow the Liberty L at the Liberty L on X, Derek at Suitable Alias, and me at Chris Stumps. And go Floor.